Boom! No countdown today, baby. That was enough of a countdown. We've held you long enough in suspense. How's it going, everybody?
I'm going.
Everybody's going. We're ready. We're ready to get into this. Our Mount Rushmore of filmmakers. This is an exciting one, and we have a stacked panel of people. We are currently short one, so we're, hey, this is how this stuff works out.
Go with the flow.
I have no idea what's going on. Sometimes maybe people forget what time zone they're in. Who knows what's going on? But we do have everybody else here on the panel, so we're going to get right into it. We're not dilly-dallying tonight because this is potentially going to be the most mega of our streams that we've ever done. So we're going to see about skipping that one because I'm trying to go in the order of the the thumbnail. So we're going to bring in the second person from the left, and that is going to be a returning guest here on the channel. It is Vin from Hard Copy Blues.
How's it going, guys? Excited for the stream. Should be fun.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be an interesting one. It's because we were kind of talking back and forth about how, like, what if there's duplicates, and I was telling Haley that this is such a vast pool of people we can pick from. You know what I mean? It's not like your top 5 Clint Eastwood movies or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I'm wondering how that'll go as far as are we gonna get everyone saying like Spielberg and Tarantino? But regardless, those directors that get pulled up multiple times, they deserve the talk. So
exactly. Yep. So welcome back. Next up is a newcomer to the channel. It's a first timer. We love
fresh blood.
We love the fresh blood here on Fans of Something. And he's a cool dude. I've seen him in a few live streams and wanted to get him on one and hopefully a few more. It's Pure Hangout.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome.
Wow.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, I know you're a huge Tom Hanks fan, and unfortunately, he's not a filmmaker.
Well, that thing you do.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
Will he appear on my list? Who knows?
That is right. That's his one and done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Tom Hanks directed one movie. I totally forgot about that.
I didn't even know that.
But welcome to the channel, man. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And we're going to bring in our next guest. I'm trying to see the thumbnail. Okay, yes. Okay, so this is one of 2 who represent this channel. It is Horror and More, and she is one of our great mods. She's taking the night off tonight so she can be in the stream with us. It's Nadia.
Caught her mid
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Dude,
Thanks
love
for
that.
having me, man.
Love that Scream poster behind you.
Oh, thank you. We had to get it off eBay because my theater sucks and wouldn't give it to us.
Now, I'm curious, is Wes Craven going to be on your Mount Rushmore?
I don't know. You'll have to see.
Yeah, funny enough, there was a bunch of other like directors I had lined up in that little opening thing, but the song wasn't long enough for everyone that I had lined up. So I was like picking and choosing who to put on there. So I'm sure I pissed a bunch of people off by excluding some of the major ones, but they were in the lineup. I just didn't have enough time with that song.
Yeah, once I saw Tommy Wiseau, I knew you were ending on him.
I told Ailey, I was like, we got to save the best for last, no matter what. And I don't even know what he's doing in that photo. He's like grilling or something.
Yeah, that was a cool intro you did. That was
Thank you. All right, so we have one half of Horror and More. Next up is another channel debut. It feels like he's been on here before, but he's never actually been on camera on Fans of Something, which blows my mind. And it is the other half of Horror and More. So I guess it's the and Morer. It's Kevin.
Hello, everybody.
What's going on, dude? Like I said, it feels like you've been on here, but somehow you haven't.
Oh, this is my first appearance. I mean, you've been on Nadia's, and I've been in your chat, and that's it.
Why. That's why. Yep, that's exactly why. But welcome. Also, in case anyone's wondering, that is Nadia's bird in the back.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to try and mute my mic every time I hear him.
It's all good.
It's all good. Guy.
I love it so much. All righty. So we have Horror and More. Next up, I'm excited for everybody to be here tonight, but this one I'm particularly excited because ever since I started YouTube back in 2015, doing the Blu-ray stuff and took a break and whatnot. Back in 2015 is when I first stumbled across this guy, and he went by the name Seth Talks Film. I believe it's Seth Talks Film. Seth, when I bring in, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Seth Talks Film. And we went back and forth talking and did a bunch of things, but we never collaborated like this. We never did a live stream, a video, anything. He went on to do stuff with Slacker Media, who's he's representing tonight. But I am so excited to finally get the opportunity to talk to Seth Urington from Slacker Media.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Wow, that was quite the build-up, man. Got me a little nervous.
Dude. I mean, look, you and I go back, even though we've never actually done something like this, a long time, dude.
Yeah, I've known you for a long time. It's been a long time coming. I appreciate the invite. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys.
Yes, and I am curious, no spoilers, because I know you're a big Richard Linklater fan, so I'm curious if Linklater is going to pop up on here.
You might be onto something, let me tell you.
Might be on here. All right, so we got another newcomer. So that's 3 newcomers. And I believe there's 2 more. One is the one that couldn't be here right now. Hopefully she's going to pop in at some point. But next up is not a newcomer. He is a returning guest to the channel all the way from Canada. It is Zach Milne Talks Movies.
Hello.
Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. And he just got turned into a bobblehead. So that's cool.
I did. Yep.
Let's see it. Let's see that bobblehead. Look at this. Full screen him? She says full screen him. All right, I'll full screen you.
I can't see that good.
That's cool.
Oh man.
You got sent a bobblehead of yourself.
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
crazy. It's crazy. That's all because of the viewers.
I love it,
all
dude.
the people that ever watched the video. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Congrats. That's so cool. Immortalized in a bobblehead. Too cool. All right. Next up. Yeah, don't break it. Next up is another newcomer. We just keep having newcomers. This is what it's all about. It's all about the newcomers tonight. I discovered her through a great channel. Daisuke Beppu is the channel I found her from. I'm sure maybe a couple people here on the panel tonight have heard the name Daisuke Beppu. He's a big Criterion guy all the way in Japan. And she was a guest on his channel, and I took note. And we finally made her appearance happen on Fans of Something. It's mainly movies.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes,
Nice to
and I
meet
love
you.
it because you're from obviously Maine, right?
Yeah,
So I love it. Mainly movies. It's too cool.
super
It's
creative. Yeah.
It's super creative. But yeah, so thank you to Daisuke, because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here tonight. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Daisuke.
Yeah, Daisuke is an awesome guy. I love Daisuke.
Definitely.
All right, and last but certainly not least, until hopefully that last guest comes in. Right now, it's the final guest, and you could say we saved the best for last. You could say we saved the best for last. He is he's one of our favorite people.
The man, the myth, the legend.
He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is the host of the Morning Mug. He's the host of a bunch of trivia nights, and he is the creator of the Pop Culture Cafe.
Woo! What an intro. Thanks, y'all.
Yes.
Gosh, I'm
Welcome
glowing over here. Thank you. This
Love
is quite
it.
the panel. Look at this. I am sort of excited to be on the bottom row here with some new faces. I love seeing you guys. And the row above me, you're all new to me as well.
There
I'm
we
very
go.
familiar with the top row, so this is exciting. Can't wait to
Now
see-
we
oh, look.
actually are going to see if we can switch this layout here, because I tried something new. See how this looks, if this is going to work out. Let me see. Boom. Okay. I know why it's doing that, because we need that last person, and then it's going to fix itself. So, all right. Hopefully, so Katie Video is the one that is absent right now, but hopefully she will pop in at some point, because doesn't feel the same without Katie right now. So here we go. Was this? Whoa! Where did everybody go? Where did everybody go?
What?
Oh,
Where?
Hey!
whoa! What's this?
Whoa, what's going on right now? Hold on,
That
we're gonna fix
weird.
it. There we go. There we go.
Scary.
That was scary.
It's a little too up
Um,
close, man.
Yeah, that was way too close.
Almost sabotaged. We're gonna see who's joining us tonight, and then we are gonna get into this, because this is gonna be quite an interesting list of filmmakers that we're gonna be talking about tonight. We got The View with Drew. What's going on, Drew? We got Nerdy Film Girl Tracy. Hello, Tracy. We got Mr. Fritzky. He's even given us his Mount Rushmore right off the top, saying Kubrick, Scorsese, Tarantino, but above all, David Lynch. Very,
Nice.
very interesting. Bob's Blu-rays. What's going on, Bob? We got Holland Oates in the building. We got Tony over at Basement Blues joining us tonight. Rock Music Forever.
Tony.
We got Laren doing the boom for us and saying hey to everybody in the chat,
Look at all that.
or in the panel, I should say. And then he says, well, I tried. Okay, here we go. This is a cool comment. Some of my favorite directors: Spielberg, Nolan, James Mangold. That's an interesting one. Tarantino, Scorsese. Yep. James Mangold, though. That's an interesting one. We got Tony's Movies and More, who just had his own live stream ranking the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. We got Sean. I believe he's coming over from Huck. I believe he's coming from Huck, right?
Yeah. What's going on,
Yeah.
Sean?
Brought Sean. We got Luke Ponto. Good old Luke. What's going on, Luke? And let's see here. Luke Ponto giving us his Mount Rushmore. Edgar Wright. That's an interesting one. Danny Boyle.
Nice.
Scott Derrickson. Interesting. He's the Black Phone director, right? Scott Derrickson. Can anyone confirm that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, Spielberg. Whatever.
That hack.
We got Tony saying that bobblehead looks perfect.
Thanks, man.
Mizzy, what's going on, Mizzy? Welcome. Bob's Blu-rays hyping up Mr. Huck over here. And we're gonna let the chat build up. We got Jared Runner. We got a bunch of people joining us tonight. All right, cool. So as we go through this, please feel free in the chat room, play along with us if you haven't already given us your entire Mountain Rushmore to begin with. So the way this is going to work is kind of the way most of these top rankings work. We're going to pop up a little title card here, and it's going to start from the left, or no, sorry, from the right, right? So that's going to be the Lincoln, right? So it's the Lincoln, and then it goes to, I believe, the Roosevelt, and then the Jefferson, and then your all-time favorite is your George Washington. And we're going to start with, since Katie is not with us right now, we are going to skip her, and we're going to go to Mr. Hard Copy Blues, Lincoln, his number 4 fave, and then we're going to highlight you. Go ahead, give it to us. What do we got?
All right, so number 4, this is the most recent director that I have on the list, and he's somebody that I fell in love with over the past few years. And I have a stack of his films here to show you. They're not in any particular order, but I'm going to hold it up so you can see it here.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Nice.
I love this director so much. I think that he is so diverse with his films. I think that he has, first of all these, this is his whole filmography right here. And there's only one film out of this whole stack that I really don't care for, and that's Inherent Vice. That didn't really, I just found it kind of boring, but everything else is just great. And he has a really wide spectrum of films. He has, your kind of slow, methodic style, character driven films like Phantom Thread. He has your absolute drama masterpieces when it comes to There Will Be Blood and The Master, which are 2 of my favorite films of all time. There Will Be Blood and The Master are so good. There Will Be Blood is the one that made me say, who is this guy? I got to find everything that he's done because it was so well done. But then he has, you're more coming of age, like Licorice Pizza, your kind of rags to riches story like Boogie Nights. So you can't confine him into a box. He has a wide array of films that are all kind of different feeling. And I think he's somebody that's going to be around for a long time. And I absolutely love him. So that's my number 4.
That's your number 4. I love it. How do we feel on the panel about P.T. Anderson?
I'm not sure
Yeah,
who
I
that
think
is.
he's great.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen
He's up
any of
there.
those movies.
A stellar choice.
Stellar choice. Nadia, you don't know who Paul Thomas Anderson is?
Mm-mm. I know
Wow.
of Licorice Pizza, but I didn't know who made it.
All right.
Maybe you
so
know him as
PTA, yep. So if there was a collective kind of, this is the movie you need to watch from Paul Thomas Anderson, that kind of intro to PTA, what do we kind of collectively agree on?
There Will Be Blood. It's one of the best American films ever made, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There Will Be Blood.
Nadia, write it down.
Or Boogie Nights.
Yeah, Boogie Nights. Yep.
Boogie Nights or There Will Be Blood, I would probably say.
The Master too, with Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. They both give such amazing performances. I absolutely love The Master too. That's a close second for me.
I am going to be the oddball here, and I'm going to say Punch Drunk Love, because I feel like when you get into the like some of the other stuff from PTA, it's overwhelming almost. And if you want that kind of nice little intro point there, it's his quickest, it's his just most direct kind of film. It's the lightest as well. It's just that, just that romantic comedy stuff. And it's got Adam Sandler, so it's got a familiar face. So Punch Drunk Love, but also Magnolia. Magnolia is just, geez, my God, Magnolia, so freaking good. All right, good choice, man. Good choice. Vin's number 4, his Lincoln, if you will, is PTA. We got Pure Hangout for his Lincoln. Let me highlight you here, man. And what do we got for your Lincoln?
So my number 4 is Julian Schnabel. So this is one of his films. He actually doesn't have a very big filmography, but he has 2 films about artists. He has this one about Jean-Michel Basquiat, titled Basquiat, and then At Eternity's Gate, which is about Vincent van Gogh. And I'm an artist myself, so it can be very difficult to see people portray artists, but Julian Schnabel, he's a painter himself. He knows what he's doing when directing somebody to act like an artist. He does an amazing job. I don't have Eternity's Gate here with me, but Willem Dafoe, he plays Vincent in it and does a fantastic, amazing job of painting on screen. Normally, anytime I see that in a movie, by any other movie that's not by Julian Schnabel, it is very difficult to watch. But Julian Schnabel knocked it out of the park with Basquiat and Van Gogh, and those movies mean a lot to me. So therefore, he does, even though I don't like Schnabel's paintings very much.
All right. Panel, this one I feel like might be totally new to a lot of people on this panel.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
He also did Diving Bell and the Butterfly. That might be one that's more familiar.
Nope.
No,
Yeah.
Maybe not. No.
Derek, come on, give us something here.
At Eternity's Gate, Willem Dafoe was nominated for Best Actor. That one came out maybe like 4 years ago or so. So I don't know if that rings any bells.
Yep. Okay. Interesting choice. Yeah. No, seriously. Like, I don't like, that's just, that's why I love getting this kind of a panel together. Cause like, you don't want to just keep hearing Spielberg and you know what I mean? Like you want these kind of obscure ones or left of center. And so, chat room, let us know if you are.
And from, I guess it's like, you know, from a personal standpoint, you know, watching a painter make movies about painting, that definitely is one of the reasons why it props them up so much for me.
Interesting. I love it.
Yeah, I just put At Eternity's Gate on my watch list.
Yeah, she's the animation major, so I mean, if anyone should know about this.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that is Derek's Lincoln, his number 4. Nadia, who is your Lincoln?
So mine, I had no idea this would be on my top 4 actually until I was looking at like all my favorite movies and the directors. Mine is going to be Sam Raimi. He is mainly known for Evil Dead 1 and 2. He produced one of my favorite movies called The Possession. But what made me fall in love with his work is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yep. Yeah.
It's all 3 of his movies on that. It's just, to me, that's my preferred Spider-Man. Like no other one is better.
Yeah.
So Sam Raimi.
Number 4, Lincoln, if you will. Mr. Sam Raimi.
I've heard of all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one I always forget is Sam Raimi. Oz the Great and Powerful. Like I always forget that is Sam Raimi.
Rightfully so.
Because it doesn't even feel like, well, I guess it does, but it's such a bizarre thing. And then, of course, now I guess it's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but that's maybe even closer to who he is as a director. Yeah, Oz the Great and Powerful is such a bizarre choice for a directing credit, but yeah, Sam Raimi's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you got? Sam
Did he
Raimi?
also did he do Tin Cup? Did he also do Tin Cup? Was that him?
Oh, was that right?
I'm not sure.
Because I know that there was a weird one he did. I was like, is that Raimi? Trying to look at that right now.
All right.
He's produced a lot, but directed was mainly like the big ones.
Drag Me to Hell too.
Drag Me to Hell. Yep. Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, and
Yep.
Dark Man.
Dark Man.
Yeah.
Yep.
It looks like he did not do Tin Cup, but
Yeah.
The Quick and the Dead, is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah, Quick and the Dead. That was good.
The Western? Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
Awesome.
Tin Cup's golfing, so 2 different movies.
Right.
Sam
Yeah.
Raimi.
I mean,
thought he
a
did
weird
that
one, I
first.
guess.
Yeah, I thought it was that out of the box when he did, but no.
All right, Kevin, please don't tell me it's Sam Raimi.
I know it is not. It's actually Christopher Nolan is my Lincoln for number 4. Interstellar was a fantastic movie. And then all the Batman, the nitty gritty, down to earth Batmans, I really enjoy. And then his new one, I don't remember the name of it, but it's coming out this year. Looks really good as well.
Oh, Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. Yep, we saw the preview for it in front of John Wick Chapter 4, and we were in an IMAX theater, so we had the full IMAX thing going on, and it was wild, that whole like ticking time bomb countdown thing going on there. Yeah. Yep. Obviously, this panel, I feel like we can kind of agree. We all appreciate Nolan to a degree.
Yeah. I like a lot of his films, but for me, he gets a little bit too convoluted sometimes with his plots.
Yeah. See, I like the earlier Nolan stuff. I like my favorite Nolan is Insomnia, and then you have The Prestige is my second favorite. So it's sort of like that earlier stuff in his career. I'm really a big fan of, and yeah, I don't know. Like I haven't seen Tenet. I know that's the one that like everyone's just like, this doesn't even make sense. Tenet.
You like Memento?
I haven't seen Memento. Have not seen Memento.
Following is great.
Following, I do want to see because I love that kind of just the more simple a story is, boom, you have my attention. So yeah, really
Insomnia
curious.
Too, Eddie's great. I'm with you. I love Insomnia.
Yeah. Oh, Insomnia is so good.
That's the third time I hear that movie today,
really...
so I got to watch it now.
You do, because it's from that year of 2002 for Robin Williams, so it's that same year of 1 Hour Photo. So
okay.
Both versions of Insomnia are good, though. I recommend the original as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And that's a Criterion as well. The original Insomnia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard making a director list for me because I just go see movies. I don't look at like directors or anything like that. Or I'll be like, oh, Chris Pratt is in this movie. I like his acting. I'll go see him. Like that kind of thing. So literally, I think Nadia and I were walking our dog, and I was like, I should change some stuff up really quick, actually. So
you're like, I should actually call out of this one. No, happy you're here, man. Happy you're here. Appreciate you putting this list together. All right, Seth, I am very, very curious what your number 4 is. The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, Eddie, you already kind of knew which direction I was going with this. There's a lot of guys I'd like to discuss. This is a really hard list to put together. I'd like to talk about Chaplin, and there's a bunch. But in terms of what's most personal to me, Richard Linklater as my Lincoln. Love the coming of age genre. Nobody does it better, in my opinion. And what I like most about Linklater is how he uses the element of time as a character in a lot of his movies. Boyhood, say what you will, love it or hate it. Even if you're not a big fan, though, you got to be able to recognize how impressive that is. And the Before trilogy, it's all about the concept of time. So Linklater for me, very, very personal to me, and pretty much love all his work.
Yep. Hell yeah, dude. That Before trilogy, that's my all-time favorite movie trilogy.
Masterclass, man.
Yep.
Yeah, Before trilogy was great. I got that Criterion, I think, in 2022 and watched them, and they're all so fun to watch. They're all very dialogue-driven and great story. And that third one, Before Midnight, when they have their fight as a married couple, is one of the best argument scenes in all of film, I feel like.
Couldn't agree more, man. You said it perfectly.
I know you're Seth. I know you're is Boyhood still your favorite?
It's up there. I love that movie, and like I said, I know it's polarizing. People have different opinions on it, but
I'm with you, Seth.
To take on that task of committing to a project like that is impressive.
Yeah. So in case anyone does not know about Boyhood, it was literally filmed every year for 12 years. Correct?
Yep.
Literally every year on the dot, the entire crew would come back together and they would film scenes for the movie. And it's just about it's a coming of age movie, and it's literally in real time. It's not actors, different actors. It's the same actor getting old over 12 years.
Yeah, every 20 minutes they look a little bit older as you're watching it. It's pretty cool.
Yep. And it's so cool because you have like it's so cool because you have like glimpses of like old computers, and then like the next scene, like it's all different technology, and it's so cool.
Yeah. And that's such an incredible undertaking to even try and do. And that's been on my list for a long time. I know Arrow has a 4K now, but I really like Criterion, so I'm not sure if I'm going to wait for a Criterion 4K. I don't know, but another coming of age is great. Obviously, Days of Confused.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And is it called Suburbia?
I like that one a lot. Nobody really talks about
that one's great. It's kind of like Clerks in a way, or like Jay and Silent Bob if they were going through a crisis.
Definitely that whole convenience store kind of hanging out at night vibe. It's pretty good.
All-time favorite Linklater film, though, personally, this is one that is not talked about at all. Me and Orson Welles.
Oh yeah, that one's heavily forgotten.
Heavily forgotten.
Heavily.
It has a wonderful Zac Efron performance.
Yeah, and the guy who played Orson Welles, I don't know what he went on to do, but I mean he looked the part. I mean, he was pretty good.
He was perfect as Orson Welles. But yeah, love Linklater. Obviously, School of Rock. He's like, that's maybe his most popular in a way. Like that's the one that everyone. Oh, School of Rock. Oh yeah, of course. Jack Black.
I didn't even realize that he did that. That seems so not him. I didn't realize
that's like one of the Linklater studio films.
That's almost like, in a way, that's almost his Oz the Great and Powerful, but obviously in a totally different. Like what I mean?
It is very out of character though when you realize.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love Linklater, dude. Love Linklater. All right, Mr. Zach Milne, give us your Lincoln.
Well, we can just jump back on the Christopher Nolan train because I got Christopher Nolan as well. I have him because I think he's very young in his career, yet he's already dominated so many genres. He's taken over the comic book genre with the Dark Knight trilogy. You've got the sci-fi genre in there with Inception, and I'm going to throw Interstellar in there as well. I love Interstellar. And his war film Dunkirk is in there too. Like and then you got Oppenheimer coming out, which is almost like his take on a biopic. I think there's so much more that he's going to do in his future that's going to be great, but I feel like he's already made it on the Mount Rushmore of directors with just what he's brought us in the short time that he's been around as a director.
Yep.
Our first duplicate. Wow.
Our first duplicate. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first duplicate, Christopher Nolan. I need to get that sound effect. I have a sound effect board in front of me, and I don't have the pew pew pew. Come on, Huck, give it to me.
Hold on.
I see you doing it. I see you doing
it. So you guys talking about directors or what? As I re-download the app because it's been a while.
Oh, I love Huck so much. God.
Sound effects machine.
All right, so our first duplicate. So we're just gonna, if this ever does happen, we're gonna try to, obviously, if there's anything else we want to add, we'll add it. But if it's that, duplicate, we're gonna not like, no offense to whoever the person is that named it, we're gonna kind of grease past it, kind of thing. But it is noted, Zach's Lincoln is Christopher Nolan. All right, mainly movies. I'm very curious what your Lincoln is.
Yeah, so like Kevin, I believe before, I'm not somebody who's like super hyper fixated on directors generally, but for me, so for this kind of project here, right, I kind of set some guidelines for myself, right? These are not only all directors that I personally enjoy, but they're also ones that I think are influential and kind of important in terms of filmmaking too, so they deserve to be on a Mount Rushmore. And I also wanted to only go with directors that were at least semi-prolific, so I restricted myself to people who've done 8 or more films. So no, just few. So I'm sure this particular director is going to pop up a few more times. So I actually won't spend too much time on him because I know other people are going to have him higher and will want to talk about more. But I'll be the first one to throw out Steven Spielberg. And so he's my number 4 here because, I mean, how can you not? Like, obviously he's going to be in, I think, even if he's not on everybody's individual Mount Rushmore, I think, in terms of influence, in terms of his significance to filmmaking, he's kind of like the figurehead of the new Hollywood era, coming out with, he's at 34 films now, I think, right? So ranging from like 1971 to last year. So diverse in terms of the types of films. Zach was just talking about this with Christopher Nolan, right? That we've got all sorts of different types of films that he's making. But with Spielberg, right, we range from like things like blockbusters and stuff. You know, you got like Jurassic Park and Jaws and things, not really a blockbuster kind of at the time in terms of what people thought of, right? That was like scary. But then you've got things like Lincoln, right? You've got, everything goes from like Schindler's List to Hook, right? I mean, like, how do you have that much range? And, semi-autobiographical last year with The Fabelmans. My personal favorite, Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
So his collaborations with John Williams, it's just, he's made so many iconic films. Indiana Jones, geez, like, how did I almost forget that? So just there's so much, but like I said, I'm sure he'll be on here a few more times so people can let other people gush more.
Absolutely. Now I have a question for you. Did you choose him to be Lincoln because of Lincoln?
No, actually, but I should say yes, right? Because that's more clever than just happening to be number
That was
4.
something I was thinking to myself. I was like, I hope somebody puts Spielberg as their Lincoln, and then of course I'll make that Lincoln joke, and I'll feel better about myself.
As well you should.
You can sleep at night now.
Thank you.
That's
Yes.
right.
Oh,
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, we all agree Spielberg is, if there was a Mount Rushmore of composers, I think Williams is going to be right up there. So it's just,
oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than Steven Spielberg. So, anything else anyone wants to add?
Not
He's the
right
goat.
now.
Yeah.
They'll all add when they get to him later.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. All right. Huck, give us something different.
Oh, yeah. Well, so my thing is, first of all, before I get started, because this is all about Mount Rushmore, I would love to share with you my Count Rushmore.
Oh,
Nice.
That's so cool.
So I thought that was very fitting for tonight.
yes.
Love my Count Rushmore. So I definitely wanted to pick directors that aren't just like, great directors, but ones that like many people are doing that sort of meant something to me, touched me personally as films growing up and have stayed with me for a long time. And I definitely need to make my Lincoln something in the category that I don't know if a lot of people are going to hit, and that is comedy. Because I love good comedies, and this is about the best there is. So I'm going to start my Mount Rushmore off with Ivan Reitman.
Ooh,
Nice.
nice.
I considered that.
Right down here, you got your Ghostbusters. I love Stripes. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Stripes. When what's his name? When the dude passed away. Why am I drawing a blank? Harold Ramis. When Harold Ramis passed away. We watched Meatballs. It's like all these great things. And I didn't even realize, he also did 6 Days, 7 Nights, another movie that's sorely in need of a Blu-ray or any kind of upgrade. But there's just something really wonderful. I mean, you got Twins, just so many other stupendous films that's on his filmography. And he is locked in that great comedic juice. Whatever he's got, he's passed it on to his son. And when he did, the new Ghostbusters, there was magic in that one. So, yeah, it was important for me to start my Mount Rushmore off with someone really committed to the excellence of comedy. And that's Ivan Reitman.
Boom. Love it.
Wow.
Panel, talk to us about some Ivan Reitmans. What do we got?
Yeah.
What do we think about Reitman?
Huck, what do you think of My Super Ex-Girlfriend?
It was okay. I watched it and I haven't had the urge to rewatch it, but I didn't dislike it. I don't even know if I've seen one that I've disliked. Let's see. Did I pull the other one out? Oh yeah. And look at, here's one, and it's not even like super, super funny, but has anybody seen Up in the Air?
Oh yeah.
With George Clooney. That is so good. It's really, really good. I remember, when I saw that, I was just like, wow, that's an endearing film. So he definitely has that little dramatic.
Was that Jason?
No, let's see. Oh, you're right. It is Jason.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like I said, he passed the juices down.
Yes, definitely.
It counts. It falls in the Reitman family.
It is Reitman. You know, it's so funny. You should see my whole place is destroyed pulling movies for this at the last. This work and kept going. I'm like, oh my god, pull movies. I'm like, Reitman. Literally, that's that explains why I missed it. But still, yes, Reitman.
Yeah, I always liked.
I brought his son into this.
I always liked Evolution also because it's Ghostbusters again, but aliens instead of ghosts. I thought that was a great one. Good cast too.
Yeah. I feel like Ivan Reitman is one of those again, sort of a left of center. So that's a good choice. I like that. I didn't even think to put him in. I'll just spoil it right now. He wasn't even in that lineup of filmmakers that I had planned. Yeah. So there we go. I didn't even think of Ivan. All right, Miss Haley, what do we got for your Lincoln?
Yeah, so I definitely interpreted this list, this ranking, sort of like how Huck said, like more personally than like an overall like who I deem to be the best in movie. It's more so who represents my sort of, I don't know, what makes
Your
me,
Rushmore?
because my personality is movies. So who's melded like my personality?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with my Lincoln. My number 4 is Wes Craven. Wes Anderson. I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at Nadia and I thought Wes Craven. Wes Nadia.
Wes Nadia.
Wow. I like it.
All right, she's gonna crawl under the table.
It's not a bad choice.
All right, Wes Anderson. She said, "Everybody, Wes Anderson."
I like Wes Nadia better.
It's gonna be okay. I promise.
Edit this out.
No. This is amazing. What's your favorite Wes Anderson?
Definitely the Grand Budapest Hotel is my favorite. But everything, like, he is like an artist, not just like in a sense of a director, but like when you see those books at Barnes and Noble that like have his artwork, like any still from his movies can be taken and like framed.
Yeah.
And stuff with like his humor that he does, the pacing like of his movies, like even down to like the resolution like of certain scenes in the Grand Budapest Hotel like mimic the era that the scene was filmed in, like such minuscule details. And it's that like attention to detail, that like artistic style that he puts like into his movies that is like, wow, I want to do something like that. Like
one day.
Yeah. Like he's just so, and what his work, even stop motion, like he in the Fantastic Mr. Fox. Wow, beautiful. His use of color, his use of style, it's just, he's great. He's great. And he's still so young that like he has so many like more years ahead of him to do more fantastic work.
Mm-hmm. Now, I feel like if I were to pop up like a bunch of different pictures of different random people, would anyone in this panel be able to pick out Wes Anderson? Like, do we know what he looks like?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking to myself, I have no idea what Wes Anderson even looks like. I don't know what he looks like. But how do we feel about Wes Anderson? Let me just quickly make us normal styles again.
I don't know who that is.
Get the thumbs up.
He almost made my number 4.
Almost made it. All right.
Yeah.
I had Bottle Rocket on my list for Tim Talks Talkies top 25 of the 90s. Wes, I really like all his films, and he is very stylistic. Yeah. But I tend to gravitate toward earlier Wes films because I feel like some of his later stuff, he has a very, very unique style, but I feel like he leans on that very unique style a little bit too much in the later films. So I think he has a sweet spot for me personally in some of his earlier to mid career stuff.
Well, and a lot of his earlier stuff, I mean, just a lot of his works in general are on the Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just about every single one. I think only French Dispatch is like, right, and Isle of Dogs are the two that aren't.
Yeah, his 2 worst. But yeah, I Van, I was kind of like you, except for my favorite was always.
Oh, we'll never know.
The suspense.
Sorry. That'll happen every once in a while. My internet like reboots itself real quickly. But yeah, I liked his early stuff also. And Rushmore for the longest time was my favorite until Grand Budapest Hotel came out. And then that one took the top spot. And then tomorrow, actually, the trailer for his newest movie will drop. I think it's called Asteroid City. Or Meteor City. Yeah. Asteroid City. And Tom Hanks is in that one, so I'm very pumped for that one.
Tom Hanks. Yep. All right, cool. So it seems like we got a nice mix of Wes Anderson and then some we just don't even know who Wes Anderson is. So that's cool. So he's sort of that he's that middle ground. Now, my Lincoln, let me just switch the graphic around here. My Lincoln is something or someone we all know. And for a time there, we all love to hate this guy. And I am talking about Mr. M. Night Shyamalan. That's right. M. Night Shyamalan is my Lincoln and my all-time favorite Shyamalan film. This is also going to get some criticism here. It's The Happening. And I'm serious. I'm serious.
See you later.
Great movie.
I adore The Happening. This is this has a lot of memories attached to this movie. So for that reason alone, it's my favorite. But literally everything I've seen this guy do, and I have avoided Last Airbender and After Earth. So
his worst.
I think I'm going to keep it that way. I don't really have any desire to see those. That's my sort of he didn't know what was going on phase of his career. It was very, very. It was his Oz the Great and Powerful times two. And so, but everything he's done. My second favorite is another bizarre choice. It's Old. I love Old. We watched that in the theater, and it's just like a Twilight Zone episode, but it's a feature length. It's so good. Knock at the Cabin, his latest, I really enjoyed. But of course, going all the way back to the Unbreakable stuff, Bruce Willis. I mean, right? He's so good. So I don't want to go on too long about M. Night, but I do want to ask the panel, how do we feel about Mr. M. Night?
I do know him.
Yeah.
I'll say it's somewhat hit or miss, but his hits are so strong that it's always an event. When M. Night comes out with a new film, you want to be there in theaters. You want to see it. I have all of his movies except for Lady in the Water. I don't have that one. I have to watch that one still. But for me, I love Sixth Sense and I love Signs. They're probably my two favorite, which is kind of everyone loves those ones. But he's definitely iconic.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of in '99. There was that question of like, is he the next Spielberg? And then
he's not.
We all know what happened. But that was the question. Like, oh wow, this might be the guy. He might, the torch might be passed, and if so, it might be to him.
Well,
he's definitely like become iconic in that sort of thriller genre. Like so much so, I remember I had a dream not that long ago where there was something that happened.
And M. Night was in it?
No, something happened, and I was gonna make a call to thinking it was somebody, but I got like an answering machine back saying that like you just got M. Night Shyamalan in that you were in.
You got twisted.
You got twisted.
It was a twist in your own dream.
I'm calling out M. Night in my dream.
I will say this about M. Night Shyamalan. There are directors that may make more like widely well-known movies or like well-liked movies, but they're forgettable and they're bland and they just come in and do the job to get the job done. Whereas M. Night, whether you like his movie or hate his movie, he makes a stamp, he makes an impression. Yeah. And regardless of what happens in his career next, we will be talking about him for a very long time and looking back on his work for many, many years, dissecting it and analyzing it. Because he's just got such a unique vision that even when it doesn't always work, you can't help but watch it.
Yeah, he's probably the most polarizing director working today.
Yeah.
There you go.
Possibly.
He's also, something I love about him, and then we're going to quickly move on here, is he's one of the rare filmmakers who is so like, he's so humble, where if you follow him on any kind of social media platform, he's very open about what he's doing. Like he's very excited about filmmaking. He's still excited. He'll post when he's rewriting a script and he'll tell you what he rewrote in that post. It's so cool the way he does it. Like he's still a fan of what he's doing professionally. So for all those reasons, I forgive him for all the mishaps. And we're moving on to hard copies, Roosevelt's.
All right. My number 3, I'm sure this guy is going to come up later in the stream, but it's Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
So I was going to try and like kind of go different today and pick, some up and coming directors that I really enjoy, but I looked at his filmography and I was just reminded once again how much this guy influenced my childhood and my adolescence and early adulthood and even still adulthood today. He has so many great films. There's not enough you can say about Scorsese. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight 3 titles from him that I think that a lot of people may not have seen because he often gets pigeonholed into this role of, oh, he just makes mobster movies. But his best movies are not the mobster movies, in my opinion, although Goodfellas is very, very good.
I know you're going to pull the king of comedy. I know you're
you know it, Eddie. You know it. The first one to pull is the king of comedy.
Yeah.
This thing is brilliant. This thing is so freaking good. It's so funny. It's so smart.
Yes,
Robert De Niro is so funny in this movie. Such great comedic timing he has in this. Check this one out if you haven't seen it. Another one I wanted to show some love for is Silence. This is a film that no one ever talks about, but this might be one of the most powerful films based off of religion and oppression I've ever seen. And it has an amazing performance from Liam Neeson, Adam Driver, and Andrew Garfunkel there. Such a good movie. It's not the easiest watch, but it's worth your time. And the last one I wanted to highlight is a very quirky film called After Hours. This was one of his very, very early films, and it's all about this one guy's night, and he goes through all of these misadventures, and it's so quirky and so different and so weird, and you would never think that this was a Scorsese, but yeah, it's a very interesting movie, so check this one out. And one more I have to highlight, only because it's my favorite Scorsese, and that's Aviator. I absolutely love Aviator so much, and put a gun to my head, what's your favorite Scorsese? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to tell you Aviator. I love this film. And none of those are gangster films. So
there you go.
My number 3 is Martin Scorsese.
There we go. Panel. I know we've all heard of Scorsese. We've all heard of Scorsese.
Yeah.
You know what I love about that, Ben, is you didn't highlight the gangster stuff, because it's funny. That's sort of what polarizes me from Scorsese, is too much of that stuff. And so for me, and I remember last night on the other stream, you brought up a movie I love, which is Color of Money. It's like a movie you actually don't even realize it's Scorsese. Nothing about it feels familiar. Nobody talks about it when they're talking about Scorsese. So it's things like that, and Wolf of Wall Street, which I didn't see until just 2 years ago for the first time, and it was it is my favorite one. So it is sort of those ones that are a little out of the box. I love Aviator. I haven't seen After Hours yet, but I feel like I'd like that one.
Yeah.
So I feel like those are the ones that click. And then I've seen Goodfellas and all that stuff, and they're okay. They're not like heavy rewatches for me, most likely because that's just not my cup of tea, gangster films.
Yeah.
So I like that you picked him and chose that direction.
Yeah, Shutter Island 2 is such a brilliant film. This one, he dips his toes into a little bit of horror, but this one is so complex and nuanced where you watch it once and it's simply not enough, because once you figure out the twists, you need to watch it at least one more time, because this has so many more layers to it with the character dialogue and things that are happening with DiCaprio. This is another absolutely brilliant film that does not get enough credit.
I was going to say that's my number 1. So when you were talking about non-gangster Scorsese, I was going to bring that one up. So I'm glad you had it queued up and ready.
Yeah, nice.
I was glad to see you bring up After Hours too. Just criminally underappreciated.
So good.
Yeah.
The ending of that film is insane. Insane.
I love that movie. Anytime Criterion wants to put that out, it's perfect.
Eddie, I know you love Kings of Comedy. Check out After Hours.
You got it. Look, I honestly feel like we would have that conversation about being criminally underrated, King of Comedy, had it not been for Joker 2019. When Joker 2019 came out, everyone was comparing it to King of Comedy, so I feel like it's back in the conversation of people. So we're more familiar with the film, but prior to Joker, so many people did not even, and that's when I saw the King of Comedy way before Joker. So but After Hours, noted. Very, very, very noted. All right.
Ben. Oh, I got one more Scorsese question. Vin, have you seen Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore? That's one I've always been curious about because it seems so far away from what he typically does. But I haven't seen it. Is that one any good?
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's like a mother and a young son, maybe, or a grandma and a young son, or grandson. But yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm curious about it though.
All right, now I say this with all love and affection, like I'm not trying to be like a smartass. Do you have someone that we know?
Yeah. Well, I hope. This is someone I've actually met. So Guillermo del Toro.
Hey!
So
cool. Nice.
And I got him to sign my copy of Crimson Peak and my copy of Pan's Labyrinth right there. That's his signature.
He's got a good, clean signature too, man.
Yeah.
Haley is incredibly jealous right now. I can speak for her.
I'm flabbergasted. I am.
So yeah, I had the chance to meet him at a screening of Crimson Peak about a year after it came out. He presented it at a film festival near me called Ebert Fest. It's a film festival that Roger Ebert, film critic, created. He's from his hometown is my hometown. And they will invite movies that sort of like maybe underperformed at the box office, but they still deem like great films, and then bring them in for like just kind of a, hey, this deserves more attention. So we watched Crimson Peak with him. We gave him a standing ovation, and he went on stage in tears because I think he felt really disappointed in this film. In how it performed and how it was marketed. He didn't have control over the marketing, and they're like, it's a horror film, it's a horror film. And he's like, no, it's a gothic romance, don't call it that. And yeah, I don't know. I just had such a great experience with him, meeting him, and he was just so kind. He was great. But I love the artistry in his films, the use of practical effects, also the way he sticks to sort of horror fantasy. But we have like superhero films like Blade 2. We have romance movies, but like a ghosty gothic romance, a war film in Pan's Labyrinth. And then I guess you have the love story, Best Picture winner, Shape of Water. But yeah, the artistry, the special effects, the practical effects is what sells me. I love the art direction and how much control he has over that.
Yeah. Yep. Haley, I know you want to say something about Del Toro.
No, I completely stand with everything you said. Like, his passion in his work is what's really like captivating, and it shows like in his films too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you seen Pinocchio? Has anybody
That one,
seen
actually, I
Pinocchio?
have not. I think I've seen his entire filmography except that one. And that one I think is pretty accessible, right? Isn't it on Netflix?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really good.
So
Really good.
I only have myself to blame.
Stop at Walmart and get the snack bundle
Yeah.
Pinocchio.
Has anyone else seen that? It's like a Netflix Pinocchio bundle at
I've seen
Walmart.
I saw that.
I'll look
That's
at
pretty
that.
cool.
It's
Although I have
wild.
seen they do have the snack box at Walmart. Where you can get
Yes.
the popcorn.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I've seen. Yeah, it's like $15 for that.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So you can Netflix and chill.
Chill. Yeah. No, that's a good pick. Del Toro is so visual. There's, I think, few directors who literally have that sort of. When you think of them as a visual director. Like, there's something about their style that has such a handprint. The only other one that comes to mind with that distinctness is Tim Burton.
Right.
I think they're in that sort of same category of that their style is who they are. Whereas a lot of other directors can try a whole bunch of different things. But even when they try different things, their style is still there.
And then maybe Wes Anderson today.
Oh, totally.
More so now, too.
Yep. Awesome.
Well,
choice.
even going from like Pinocchio from like this year to like Hellboy, when he made it, the first Hellboy, like didn't expect him to make that at all. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And those
And he
are
had a
great
great
too.
moment.
I love the special effects with those. Practical.
He had a great moment at the Oscars when Jimmy Kimmel was like, "Yeah, and you have to get through Guillermo," and then they cut to Guillermo del Toro, and then he's like, "No, wrong Guillermo," and then they cut to Guillermo.
That was good.
It was funny. All right, Nadia, Who is your Roosevelt?
So close to what Haley said. It's not Wes Nadia. It is Wes Craven. He, to me, like he makes a lot of underrated movies that no one knows about or like watches, like People Under the Stairs, The Hills Have Eyes, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. We don't really talk about that one, but the original Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. I feel like if he wouldn't have passed away in 2015, he would have continued to make great movies, but unfortunately he passed. But Wes Craven left like so many classics under his belt. So he's definitely my number 4, my Roosevelt, if you will.
Have you seen Red Eye?
I have. I love RedEye.
I know that's one that kind of gets swept under the rug in terms of his filmography.
Blu-ray's finally coming out for that one.
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
It just came out.
Red Eye's great. A nice tight 85 minutes. So good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and one of the nicest guys. Like you never hear anything bad about him. And granted, he's passed on, but you never heard anything bad about the guy. He just seemed, and he was so soft spoken in any interview he gave. And I remember where I was when I found out he passed away. Just too soon. Like I wonder what he would have done had he kept going. You know. So
yeah, exactly.
It's very, very interesting. Panel, any other comments on Craven?
I want to know if anybody has seen Shocker by Craven. That's his, right? Is that one good?
Watch list.
It's fine.
Just fine. I know Mitch Pileggi is in it from the X-Files. Plays Skinner on the X-Files, so that's one I really want to watch.
Yep. And what's cool about Craven, Nadia, you can actually, if you were to do just a Mount Rushmore of horror, you know what I mean? He's 100% on the Mount Rushmore of horror. What I would have loved to have seen, and this goes back to him passing away way too soon, I would have loved to have seen him kind of step out of the horror genre a little bit and kind of, just dabble with some other stuff just to see if he could, do it successfally,
Yeah. That would have been interesting to see.
Kind of like how Raimi stepped out of it a little bit and tried some dramatic stuff like Simple Plan and things like that.
Yeah.
Simple Plan was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's directed Meryl Streep in Music of the Heart.
I haven't heard that
one. Derek, I love how you're coming out left field, man. Like you're left fielding us left and right.
I haven't seen it, but I always knew there, about the one movie, that was like, wait, he did that?
Yeah.
Haven't seen it, but yeah, I know there was that weird one that he did with weird for him, I guess, with Meryl.
What's about weird for him? Has anybody seen Deadly Friend?
Nope.
That one, I don't even think I've heard of that one.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Movie where there's a constructed AI robot, and there's some weird elements of that film, but it came out on Scream Factory last year or maybe 2021.
Okay.
I'll have to look for that.
Is that before like Elm Street?
Oh no, actually I don't know.
Okay.
Deadly Friend though, very weird film.
All right. Kevin, what do we got for your Roosevelt?
Not to piggyback off of Nadia here, but I went with James Wan as my 3. The Conjuring series, Insidious, and another movie that doesn't really get recognized a lot is Malignant that just came out during the pandemic. Was really good. And he made a Fast and Furious movie, which I love Fast and the Furious, so I had to put him on there for that.
Yeah, and arguably the best Fast and Furious.
Is that the one with the bank heist?
Well, it's Furious 7. That's the one where they say goodbye to Paul, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
did he also do 5?
No, that's Justin Lin, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah.
All right, James Wan. Hell yeah. I mean, let's just talk about it really quickly. Panel, have we seen Death Sentence?
Oh. Don't even get me started with that movie, man. Love it.
Does Haley remember?
Do you remember Death Sentence?
No.
Everybody's born with me tonight.
Hold on. I want to ask specific people. Seth, have you seen Death Sentence?
No, I don't even know what that is, man.
You don't know what that is? It's got Kevin Bacon, and it's James Wan directing, and it's a revenge movie, right? It's a revenge movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Taken, except they don't take his daughter; they kill his son.
So is it a piece of garbage or
no?
Where are you going with this?
No.
Mainly. Hold on, I got to make it full screen here. Hold that up again. There it is, right there.
Got it. There we go.
Not on Blu-ray yet, just DVD.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's a great
Been a long
movie.
time. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Zach, have you heard of Death Sentence?
No.
I feel like that's
awesome.
an underrated. That's
It is.
Like, yeah,
It is.
not a lot of people know about that one.
That's sort of the Oz the Great and Powerful for James Wan in a way.
I thought we talked about Saw.
Well, Saw. Everyone.
I think you've referenced Oz the Great and Powerful enough for this evening.
Seth's like one more Oz the Great and Powerful, and I'm out of here.
You did it.
All right, Seth. What do you got for Rosenbaum?
Well, I'm going to keep it. It's going to be pretty generic the rest of the way, but what can you say? Got old Steven Spielberg at number 3 for me. Just I mean, what can be said? So many of the movies that kind of shaped, how I think about cinema and whatnot. I was 4 years old when Jurassic Park came out. That's movie's just forever ingrained in me, and I think about Jaws anytime I see the ocean. It's just such a big presence. And honestly, my favorite sci-fi film, which I somehow think, if it's possible, is kind of underappreciated for Spielberg and not talked about enough, is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's my favorite sci-fi film. I think it's just a masterwork, and for some reason that one's not always discussed with some of his other big films. But Spielberg, what can you say? I know we'll continue to talk about it.
Yep. Panel, do we want to add anything about Spielberg since we last heard about him?
I'll just add that I agree about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I think it doesn't get enough love.
Yeah, for some amazing reason, it's kind of underappreciated.
Yep. Sir Stevie Spielberg. Yeah, his great cameo in Goldmember.
And Blues Brothers. Remember that one? He's the guy at the end. The cops are chasing him, and like 150 cop cars get destroyed. And they go in there, and there's Spielberg just like eating some noodles or something.
There you go. Now, something that I feel like doesn't get talked enough about is Twilight Zone, the movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And obviously, it's a taboo one because of the whole tragic accident that happened on the John Landis segment. But specifically, does anyone have any highlights about Spielberg's segment? If they've seen the movie,
was this the one with Dan Aykroyd?
I believe that's also John Landis. The opening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I think Spielberg's was Kick the Can, which was actually remake from one of the episodes.
Right.
Oh, that was the original one. Yeah, I knew there was only. Was that the original one? Okay.
Well, from the original show, right?
Right. Yeah, because I thought all of them were remakes except one, or were all 4 a remake from the show?
Oh, I guess I don't know, but I know Kick the Can was definitely one from the show. I remember watching that one on the show.
Yeah, look, it's a great little anthology movie. It's got some real creepy elements to it, especially because of that tragic accident that kind of haunts it. It's like known as one of those haunted films.
I know.
So it's definitely it's worth a watch. All right, Spielberg. Zach, is your Roosevelt Spielberg as well?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's Alfred Hitchcock.
Ooh,
Nice.
Alfred Hitchcock, which I know I'm like, some people might be like, aren't you a little like young for that? But I love Alfred Hitchcock. I discovered his stuff when I was in my late teens, and I've seen nowhere near all of it. But like Psycho's one of my all-time favorites. Vertigo's obviously up there. Rear Window. But he's also got some underrated ones like Strangers on a Train. I think is brilliant. Frenzy, I think, is really creepy and really well done. And Family Plot was another one I really enjoyed. And then he's got like Shadow of a Doubt, North by Northwest, which was like a really fun kind of comedic spy thriller, which I thought was really different for him. And yeah, I've just really enjoyed his stuff. And I love the old Hollywood filmmaking that he brought to it. And he's definitely like the master of suspense. You can see where a lot of his influence is in modern movies even today. So I'm going with Hitchcock.
Going with the cock. Going with the cock. All right. So two things. One, I just love, we got to have some comedy in the stream. So, two, has anyone seen Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of him in Hitchcock?
Yep. Own it.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Remember there were two that came out that year, and I can't remember if I watched his or the other guys.
Yeah. Who was the other guy? Because I honestly thought the other guy was better as Hitchcock.
Okay.
Mainly has it.
I know he did the voice of Dobby in Harry Potter. I can't remember what his name is though. We see him around all the time.
Yep.
He's going to be in the new. Gosh, what's his name? He's going to be in the new Indiana Jones.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't come up with it, but yeah, I think I watched the Hopkins one, but it kind of disappeared from my memory.
Yeah,
it was a one and done, because Helen Mirren was the wife, right? Helen Mirren played the wife.
Yeah. Yep, and ScarJo's in there. She plays Janet Leigh, I think, right? ScarJo.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And also, they are remaking Vertigo.
What?
Yep.
Oh, I just saw a headline.
For Robert Downey Jr. to play the role.
Robert Downey Jr. is James Stewart.
We'll see.
Do we have a director?
Okay.
That's weird.
Do we have a director? I don't believe we do.
Because I think it all hinges on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I saw the headline and I was like, oh boy. I can already feel it coming, like the wave. That's like
Vertigo is interesting though, because I thought that it's a little overrated for me, because there's a real like sexualist bent on that movie. Like he's trying to make her into the girl he thinks is dead, which is really disturbing. Very disturbing. Like, the more you watch, I'm like, this is very uncomfortable. Like maybe back in the day it was easy to do, but when I watched it now, I was just like, oh wow, that's you couldn't do that today.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of films with those type of overtones. With like I've seen so many movies from the 50s or 60s where the hero of the film casually slaps his woman, and it's not even a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's wild. So we'll see what they do with it. I mean, everyone's like, if anyone can do it, it's Robert Downey Jr. So,
and the director, they think it's going to be Anne Lily Amport. I don't know who that is. Anipor. That's what
I
they
feel like
think.
that's just gonna start a train, and then they're gonna go like remake Rear Window.
Read through all of Hitchcock's.
Psycho, yeah.
It looks like all we know about the Vertigo.
We've already done Psycho.
Remake it like for the 10th time.
Stephen Knight is writing it.
Stephen Knight, who's that?
He did Peaky Blinders. That's what he's best known for, apparently.
All right, we're in good hands, folks.
Peaky Blinders.
I've heard it's a really good show. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's really good.
All right, there you go. All right, Zach chose Alfred Hitchcock, mainly movies. Who is your Roosevelt?
So we have a duplicate from earlier in this round. I've got Guillermo del Toro as my my number 3 here. So I mean, I would just be repeating mostly what he already said about him, but I mean, like, we've got he's got this like core style for the kind of horror tinged fairy tale. He does a lot of those, but has that range that I kind of, not quite as much range as we see with like Steven Spielberg, but which I mentioned before, but we've got a lot of range here going, comic book things, Blade 2 and the Hellboys, and like going to things like Pacific Rim, right, which is kind of like out there for him. But then, Pan's Labyrinth, I think, is probably most people's favorite. I know it's my favorite. I saw that in theaters a bunch of times when it came out, and I just loved it because it was it's one of those movies that you can interpret in so many different ways. Like, is this stuff actually happening? Is it all internalized in Ophelia's mind as a way to cope with everything that's going on? It's a really layered story that you can view in so many different ways, which is the case with a lot of his films. Shape of Water, excellent one, obviously won Best Picture. I mean, Del Toro, just in general with his filmmaking, I mean, he's the first person, right, I believe, that has won Best Picture, Best Animated Feature Film, and Best Director, which is pretty fantastic. I mean, thing like Devil's Backbone, I don't think it's talked about nearly as much as it should. This is kind of almost a stylistic precursor to Pan's Labyrinth. There's a lot of similarities, but this is more of a ghost story than Pan's Labyrinth is. But yeah, I mean, Del Toro, he's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I say it all the time, but Criterion has this triple box set of Pan's Labyrinth, Devil's Backbone, and Chronos. Yes. And if it wasn't like $100 on a normal day, it would already be.
Gotta wait for that sale.
Gotta wait for the sale.
Yeah.
But like those three, I feel like fit together so perfectly to even be like in a box set.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
You know that Criterion's gonna put out Pinocchio.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, we talked about Del Toro, so we're gonna quickly roll over into Huck.
All right. You know, it's funny because for me, I felt like my 1 and 2 were easy. They were locked in, and it's really this Lincoln and Roosevelt section. I've literally got stacks of different directors. I'm not decided yet. But I'm going to have to lean on this guy because I've done on my channel before, I've done stuff that I call perfect films. And he has made probably 2 of those perfect films. And that is Robert Zemeckis. That's who I'm going to go for on this third one. Because when I was younger, this work of art, Used Cars, I thought was hilarious. No one talks about it. This almost took him out of the game because it was not a profitable film. And, Spielberg was always backing him. And then, finally he had one more swing at the fences, with Back to the Future. And, that gave us this delightful trilogy here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Back to the Future is the one that it's like a perfect film. It is note for note, extremely well acted. Thank God they waited for Michael J. Fox and talked him into you get no sleep. You're going to work on Family Ties and our movie, and you're going to love it. And he didn't miss a beat. He's so charming in that film. He owns that film, and his chemistry with everybody in that film, it's perfectly cast, absolutely perfectly cast. Door your spaceship, that's pretty great. And it's just I don't know, note for note, I feel like that's a perfectly well-made feel-good movie. It's paced great, it's written well, it's acted well, just fantastic. And then some other goodies like What Lies Beneath and Castaway. Love those. And of course, Forrest Gump, but another masterpiece is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That thing, oh my God, I watched that again last year with my daughter. As a parent, we keep trying to, show off our taste to our kids and hope to God they like one of them. And I want a good streak, I'll just say, because she really liked, and it's fun for me too, because I'm watching it going, does this movie hold up? And I was in heaven, laughing out loud. So well done. You would never do this today anymore this way. The hand-drawn, cell animated stuff. So and you, of course, you got Disney and Hanna-Barbera, Warner Brothers together on the same screen. You will never be able to afford to do that again because everyone's going to have an ego that I want my characters to have 2 more seconds of screen time. That's the kind of fight you're going to have. So because it's never going to happen again, I love that. And these are just super special to me. These are all kind of 80s bound things. Some of it rolls into the 90s. And Zemeckis, just, people talk about great directors, and Zemeckis, to me, he's right up there. He's right up there with Spielberg, Scorsese, all those guys, and he's just never tossed in that camp a lot. So this is my number 4. Is my Roosevelt tossing in some Zemeckis.
Awesome.
Zemeckis. Now, the interesting thing about him is, like you said, Huck, he was strong in the 80s, the 90s, even those 2000s. Lately, Robert is just...
That's it. Sometimes they have their run and then they're kind of done. It's like a lot of these directors, maybe they're going to have a wingspan of so long before they're just not around anymore.
I know he devoted so much of his career to the motion capture, and then James Cameron came in and was like, I'll take care of this realm.
What do you think you're doing?
Yeah, so his method for motion capture became sort of obsolete. But I mean, some of those films have become classics. I know I watch his version of A Christmas Carol.
I love that one.
Oh yeah.
And then I know a lot of people, I don't do it so much, but the Polar Express is huge with kids. Still, a lot of train stations will have a screening of that movie and then reenact the scenes and everything. I know one of the stations near me does that, and we plan on taking the kids to that. But yeah, he was another one I considered. I think he's a great one. But then I started to think like, well, today, he had that one with like Steve Carell that completely bombed. What was that one with like the Barbie dolls?
Welcome to Marwin.
Yeah. But I mean, every director has a bomb, so.
I like that one.
That one was good. I actually didn't even see it.
Tintin is underrated.
All right. Zemeckis is Hux Roosevelt. Haley, what is your Roosevelt? What is yours?
Mine is somebody who doesn't actually have a really big filmography. He only has like 4 feature-length films to his name, and he's one who shapes me as an animation student, that being Pete Docter, better known for Pixar, Soul, Up, Inside Out, and Monsters Inc. That's it. Yep. That's it.
Oh, those are good.
And all of them, like, they just captivate you and like capture your heart, and that's who I want to be, like, in the films that I produce, like in my career, is like make something that looks like super like cartoony, but actually definitely means something. And what really actually made him skyrocket to be like in my top 4 film directors is this little tiny 3-minute long student film that he did called Next Door. And it's capturing like 3 minutes. He recorded like, I forget who the little girl is, but it's a real little girl that he's just following around with a microphone and animating. And it's so precious. It's like,
it's on YouTube. Look it up.
It's on
Next
YouTube.
Door
Next
by Pete
Door.
Docter. Anybody?
It's so cute. I mean, like from that little bit, that little 3 minutes is.
And then we get Soul.
Yeah. Like the essence is still there all the way back in his student years. And then he blossomed to be like what he is now. Yep. And Soul is like the only animated movie that you've ever cried at. So if that says something.
Yeah, this is true. Anybody want to add on Pete Docter or Pixar in general? Pixar in general, I guess.
I didn't know of him, but I've seen all those films, and if he's only directed those 4 films, that's amazing.
Yep, those are his 4.
Not even a whole hand's worth.
Do you know Inside Out?
Because it was a pandemic movie. Oh, whoops, sorry, Hug.
Oh, that's okay. I was just saying when I saw Inside Out, I was just, that was one like the trailers didn't get me, and again, I took my daughter. I'm like, I'll just watch it for her. And I was like bawling and laughing, and I'm like, it was so endearing that it's quite possibly my favorite Pixar film. Surprisingly, like I just never expected that from that film, and it just blew. And I love being pleasantly surprised, and that was super good. I liked it more than Up. Everyone loves Up, but I like that one more.
That's what I love about his films in particular, because I noticed a trend, except for maybe Monsters, Inc. That's the one that's the rare case here. But you have Up, Inside Out, and Soul. They're like the biggest tearjerkers out of all the Pixar films, right? So it's like he did all those. Those are his. So, he's
I don't know, man. When Sully had to say bye to Boo, my eyes weren't very dry.
I remember I had the clamshell boxed VHS with the blue Monsters Inc. tape. I remember that specifically.
Me too.
Yeah, damn it. Now, if Katie was here, we could talk about VHS tapes with her. But it's all cool. All right, so Pete Docter is your Roosevelt. Interesting. Mine is someone that he has made, I believe, 4 films total. Oh, that's cool. And I have only seen one of them, and it is the only one I ever need to see if I don't ever see any of his other films. It is Spike Jonze, and I am going with Her. The thing I love about this dude is he is part of the Jackass crew. He is he is associated with Johnny Knoxville and Bam Margera and Steve-O, and he's in all the films. He doesn't do the stunts. He's just there. He's like behind the cameras.
Part of the crew. And
then he makes something like Her, and Adaptation, and Being John Malkovich, and Where the Wild Things Are, and it's absolutely incredible. So Spike Jonze, to move the train along. I don't want to linger on it too long, but Spike Jonze is.
Oh my god! Whoever's crinkling that, it reminds me of the theater. With the dude's like,
So sorry.
I think that was Kevin, so let's highlight him real quick.
Yeah,
Opening
my
some
apologies
Oreos.
there.
It's like watching Knock at the Cabin all over again.
Well, I muted my mic, but I guess it picked up on my webcam mic, so I don't know how to fix that.
It's all good. It's all good. If you want to know who gave it away, it was Nadia.
Me.
Yeah, because you were the one. You were like the biggest laugher out of all.
Because I knew as soon as I heard a crinkle, I was like, "Oh my god, it's Kevin's mic."
God. Kevin.
So he does that on Xbox too.
It's all cool. It's all cool. Spike Jonze. Has anyone else seen her or Being John Malkovich? Or
I forgot the stream it was. I'm sorry if I cut somebody off. It was top. We did it for Valentine's Day. It was top romantic films, and I had her super high. It's such a great film. Joaquin is so amazing in that. Scarlett Johansson as the voice of the android is so good. And then as well, Being John Malkovich was one of the first films that I really, really thought was so creative and so fun. And yeah, and that third one you mentioned, what was it? Adaptation is great. That might be my favorite Nick Cage movie. Meryl Streep, Nick Cage, so good. Those three films are brilliant.
Yep. But that's what I love about Spike Jonze is that he can be associated with the Jackass crew, like the lowest of the low in a way. And then he does something so like on a pedestal. And like that's just, I think, like that's genius to me. That's absolute genius. So
I remember seeing that trailer for Where the Wild Things Are, and I thought that was going to be amazing. That's, I think, my least favorite of his. I didn't care for that movie, but that trailer is beautiful. It's so good. And he started out in music videos, if I remember right.
You are correct, sir.
I'm wondering if he made that trailer because the trailer is so good.
Yep. Seth, cover your ears. That's his Oz the Great and Powerful.
I knew you were going to work it in again.
I know some people love it, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Ben, what's your dog's name?
Oh, was he disrupting a lot? I'm sorry.
No, well, Nadia and I are dog people. So.
I didn't even notice the dog.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, my dog came down the stairs. His name's Jack.
Oh,
Jack.
Oh, Jack. Sorry.
Alrighty. Hard copy. We'll make it full screen here. What do we got for your Jefferson? We're into the number 2 here.
All right. Well, no surprise. Anybody that follows my channel, you know I'm a big Tarantino fan. So my number 2 is going to be Tarantino. For me, I discovered Tarantino probably in very early adolescence, around maybe 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that realm. I think the first film that I was exposed to was Jackie Brown, and then I kind of found Pulp Fiction, and I was probably too young to realize it at the time why I liked these films so much, but it was the dialogue, and it was the screenplay and the writing, and that holds true today. When I watch even something as recent as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, why I love Tarantino is the script. It's always the script. It's always the dialogue. It's always so brilliant. It's always so well done. And I love how he will take actors who are, for the most part, maybe washed up in the case of Travolta, and kind of reinvigorate their careers. And another thing I really, really love about Tarantino is his love for old music, and the scores that he puts on his films are so great. Some of the most iconic moments in Tarantino films are oftentimes because of the music that's playing in the background, and he does such a good job picking songs. So I'm going to be done talking about Tarantino. Maybe he'll come up later, but I want to show a couple of my favorite physical media releases from him. One I have is this Steelbook of Kill Bill Volume 2.
Sweet.
That I thought was pretty cool. I got off eBay. Another eBay one I got here was this Django release.
Love that one. Yep.
Front and back.
Ooh, that's good.
Awesome.
I got that one.
Yep. I got the Mondo of Reservoir Dogs.
Very cool.
And the last one is a random Pulp Fiction Steelbook I thought was pretty cool. Right here.
Yep.
Nice.
And that poster behind you there.
And that poster behind me there.
Yep. But you have a really cool story about that. You're someone in your family took that photo, right?
Yes. My aunt was the photographer for that shoot, and she actually took the photo for Pulp Fiction.
Oh wow. Of Uma? Wow.
Uma,
wow, dude.
that poster, she took the photo.
That is
wild.
amazing.
That wild?
I'm getting goosebumps on my arm. That's awesome.
That's so cool, dude. Yeah, like when you said that in your stream that one day, I was like, I was just like, what?
Yeah,
that's like, like it's like taking like this poster is like, okay, cool, it's Joaquin's face, but it's like that's an iconic photo.
That is so
I have
iconic.
that in my room too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a well composed poster. I'm a big poster fan, movie poster fan, and just sort of that aged pulp novel cracked edges and stuff on that.
Yeah.
It's just and she looks so captivating in it.
Yep.
That's an excellent poster.
Yeah, I love Tarantino so much that when all of his 4Ks get released, he's the one guy, well, not the one, but he's one of two. I will double dip and get the steel and the slip, which I did with Tarantino. But with Pulp Fiction, that black and white version of the slip is beautiful.
Yes.
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that an original poster behind you, or is it a reprint?
Oh, it's a reprint.
But you did say, and I think someone else said in the chat of that stream, that you should have her sign that.
Yeah, I should. I really should.
Yeah.
I'll crack it open.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we feel about his last film, supposedly, The Movie Critic, coming out soon?
I haven't done a lot of looking into that yet, but it'll be interesting to see if he sticks to his guns and if he makes a 10th film and he calls it quits, and we'll see.
I don't buy it.
I don't know why.
Bullshit.
Yeah, a filmmaker with that kind of vision and writing talent to just say, I'm 10 and done. That's a nice thing to say when you're young. You sound like piss and vinegar when you say it when you're young. But once you're now a great director, you should probably go, yeah, okay, that was kind of stupid. I'm not doing that.
I kind of feel like he might stick to it though, because he's got a different kind of mind where there's a story where he told his mother he wanted to be a director, and his mother told him, you're never going to make a dime doing that. And he said, okay, I'm never going to give you any money then. And he still hasn't given her any money.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Stick to his guns. All right.
Wow.
He's 10 and done.
Tarantino.
Plus, I think like with the 10 films, it's sort of like it forces you to, all right, I only have 10 chances to do good.
Yeah.
Not 11, not 20. I'm going to make the 10 best films ever.
Yeah.
That will in his eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he's a believer in directors become a little stale, when they get a little older, which I don't believe in, but I've heard him say that before.
Yep.
Who would have loved though, for his 10th movie to be that Star Trek movie? That would have been unbelievable.
Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't Kill Bill 3.
Yeah. Oh, that would be
but maybe he wouldn't count that. Maybe that's what he'll come back for. That would be one movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. But yeah, it's apparently called The Movie Critic. Don't know much about it, but we shall see. All right, so we got our first Tarantino. We went a while there without Tarantino. Pure Hangout, what do we got for your Roosevelt?
Well, somebody you will love. I also have M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes.
So I guess the order of my favorite films from him are these right here. Actually, it goes.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, wow, Lady in the Water, first one. Wow.
No, Lady in the Water's third. But yeah, those three are definitely my favorites. And then probably The Village after that. But yeah, I really wasn't as into The Happening like you were. Old, I loved the concept, but not the acting. But yeah, he's somebody who's made some of the.
Oh, he'll be back. One second.
Sorry. So yeah, he's somebody who's made some of the greatest films, my favorite films, but also some of the worst films I've ever seen with After Earth and the Avatar that he made. Didn't like those at all. Nope. But I just love how poetic and sincere his movies are, and I think that's why a lot of times they don't work for today's audiences, because we are so ironic, and when we see that sincerity we want to laugh at it, or those around us in the theater do. But I like to soak it up, take it in, and feel what he's trying to get me to feel, rather than laugh at it like, that person cares, So yeah, I love him, and like you said, his personality is great. I love to hear him talk. He's
infectious,
great guy,
absolutely infectious. Yeah, he's just pure passion. So
yeah.
It's unfortunate with him. I think the first film that really made people shit on him was The Village, and I think that was really an issue of improper marketing of the film.
Yeah,
because it's actually not a bad movie,
right?
But they sold it as a big monster flick, or something to that extent, and that was kind of the start of him being hit or miss, which is unfortunate because I think The Village is damn good.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Yeah, I've grown to like that one. I actually I worked at a theater when that came out, so I got to see an early screening of it to make sure the print didn't have any scratches on it. And I think I've told this story before in other streams, but I didn't read the tombstone at the beginning. Like, I didn't read the years on it, so I didn't realize that. Like, when I was watching the movie, sorry for the spoilers here, I guess I assumed we were in the present day already. In this way, they were just like an Amish community. So I didn't read the tombstone to know they were trying to be like 100 years earlier. And then when she hops the fence and sees, sorry for the spoilers, sees that car, I didn't jump out of my seat like everyone else did. I was like, yeah, there'd be a car. No big deal. So I ruined that movie for myself. But upon rewatches, I've come to very much love it.
Yep. All right, Nadia, we've talked about M. Night. We're going right on to your Jefferson.
So what kind of horror fan would I be without mentioning John Carpenter? I mean, he's done all the classics, Halloween 1, 2, 3, 3 being one of my favorite movies of all time. I have the Scream Factory 4K of Halloween, beautiful copy. And I was going to bring my steelbook of part 3, but I forgot. But he's done like They Live, Village of the Damned, Christine. I mean, he's known as the master of horror for a reason. So, yeah, I'm just keeping mine short and sweet. John Carpenter, no question.
Now, what is Wes Craven known as? Because I thought he was known as the master of horror.
Well, he's known for his work for A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. Like, that's the classics.
But he doesn't have that title, the master of horror? That's John Carpenter?
It's John Carpenter, yeah.
Oh, okay.
John Carpenter.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just gonna
No. Zach goes ahead. Zach, go.
I was just gonna say that if I were to have a 5th place, it would be John Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
Yeah, he was just right there in my honorable mention.
I was gonna say he's your honorable mention.
Yeah.
He has some great action films. When you look at Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China, some of his action films are better than a lot of his horror. So he is a bit broader than people think, because he's put out some great action that I action sci-fi.
Assault on Precinct 13.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't really care for when it comes to Carpenter, and people will say he's earned this right to be this way, is he comes off very standoffish when it comes to who he is as a person. Like, he almost doesn't care anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, his persona is so like old man, grumpy person kind of thing.
Yeah,
he is grumpy.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of people meeting him, and he's not the nicest guy.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, why you got to be like that? Yeah. Anyways, I think, Huck, you were going to say something?
Oh, no, I love your pick, Nadia. That's great. Because, in fact, oddly enough, he is the master of horror, but always my favorite Carpenter film is Big Trouble in Little China. There's something about that film. It's so offbeat. It's so weird. It's so quirky. It's got, and Jack Burton is sort of this hero who isn't really the hero in the film. Like, Wang is way more heroic. Like, Wang kicks ass, and Burton sort of doesn't, and then Lo Pan, you got James Hong. I think that film was a masterpiece that like no one saw. Thank God it's a classic now.
And yeah, I like that he's expanded, like just not in the horror genre, but action.
Yeah.
I would have run downstairs with the Steelbook, but it was a little too short. I was literally about to get up to go give it to you.
Okay.
Oh,
that would have been so cool. Like, that would have been the first like
you see a hand
crossover,
going from your screen to her screen kind of thing. Yeah, that would have been cool. All right, Kevin, what do we got?
Well, like Zach said, I might be a little too young for this guy, but Hitchcock is my number 2. I just recently got into him maybe 2 years ago, and I've just been nonstop watching all of his suspense movies, and he is the master of suspense.
Awesome. Have we because I know when Zach brought him up, we didn't really talk about it. Rope. Has anyone seen Rope?
Oh, Rope's amazing.
Rope is so good.
Yep.
It is so good. It's all done as one long take.
Yep.
And if you saw, like, I watched the making of after that, those cameras are the size of a Buick, right? They're huge. And so to be able to navigate that through the set and make it seamless, that they would push it on the back of a guy's jacket because they were wearing black jackets, and then pull back out, and that's the edit point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time he did it, I went, oh, that's pretty smart. But then when he basically hides every edit in a man's jacket, I'm like, oh, well, okay, let's find something else to push it on besides the jacket. But God, that was so good. What a masterpiece.
Yeah. Well, even like when one of our friends, Garrett, who is on Nadia's podcast, he told me to watch Rear Window, and I was like, oh, it's just an old movie. I'm not gonna like it. But it's based in one place. And I was sitting there, I'm like, what is happening? Like, how can they not find him? It was really good. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to watch more of his movies.
Yep.
That's 2 for the cock now.
2 for the cock.
Damn right. Never have enough cock. Let's go.
All right, Seth. You got more cock?
No. Moving on from that, I got the great Martin Scorsese hit number 2.
All right.
I was glad to hear that we discussed some of his lesser known movies like After Hours, just fantastic. King of Comedy, Silence. Those are all really great. But to me, my favorite stuff is the stuff that he's known for. I mean, Goodfellas, just unbelievable. One of the quickest 3-hour watches for me ever. Taxi Driver, just one of my all-time favorite character pieces, I guess. Just a great study of all sorts of different personalities and characteristics going on there. But just great. When The Irishman came out, I gladly paid $20 so I could see it a couple weeks early in a theater, just because I knew it was going to be great. And I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong, even at 85 or however old he is. He's still pumping them out. So got to enjoy him while he's still here.
Yep, Scorsese. And I totally, when I found out he is in Shark Tale. Does anyone know this?
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
He is in Shark Tale, that DreamWorks movie with Will Smith.
Oh, and Jack Black, yeah.
Got his eyebrows.
Yeah. And when I found that out, I was like, what? They got Scorsese to do a voice
for a fish movie?
Wow.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. It's so cool. And De Niro's in there, and God, it's so good. Martin Scorsese. Anybody? Panel? Do we want to talk a little more about him, or should we just say move on?
Move on.
All right, we're moving on. Zach, take us to your Jefferson.
Well, you're getting your second Tarantino from me, so I won't go on for too long with Tarantino because, it's just his precision for me is what really draws me to him. Like you were saying, like a fascinating mind on this guy. Listening to him talk, he's one of my favorite filmmakers to listen to, and I love the twist that he puts in like his historical movies. Like Inglourious Bastards is brilliant. What he did with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was so fun. I love Django Unchained. It's like a fantastic Western. I love Kill Bill, and the way that he like infuses some live action anime style into it is just so cool. And I'm sad that the 10th movie is apparently his last one. I don't buy it because I think that he's got such a brilliant mind and such a focused vision when he wants to make something. I think he's going to get the creative bug for the rest of his life. He's going to come back after the movie critic. I don't buy it for a second that he'll be done, and we'll be enjoying a lot more Tarantino in the years to come.
Yep. And if anyone caught, we did a stream with a film writer by the name of Ian Nathan. He has an incredible book. I've seen it in person. I haven't picked it up, but it's all about Quentin Tarantino's films. And he actually interviewed Quentin Tarantino. He got to sit down with him and talk to him. And I think he released it right at the time Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was coming out. So definitely check that out. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's just Quentin Tarantino, a look into his films or something like that, but it's definitely worth picking up because Ian's a great guy. I just wanted to shout him out here. But anything else we want to say about Tarantino, or are we moving along?
One thing quick, Zach, have you seen or have you listened to the podcast? It's called The Video Archives. It's with Tarantino and one other guy that he does it with. And every episode, they just spend an hour or 45 minutes or sometimes more just breaking down these random obscure films. I recently found this podcast, and oftentimes they're talking about movies I don't really know about, but you're just hearing Quentin just talk about films, and it's pretty great. If you haven't heard of that podcast, check it out.
I haven't, but I'll definitely check that out, man. Thanks for putting that on my radar. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, he's got one of those, like, he's such a distinct voice. Like when they make the biopic on him, which is inevitable, I don't know how they're going to cast him, because like he is like, you have to be, he's just so unique.
He's voice. Very high energy, and he's very stepping on toes, and he's very cutting people off, and he's just all over the place because his mind.
Jamie Foxx does a perfect impression of him, so maybe he can play the part.
I also just love how like in his movies, like, you know, you have M. Night who like puts himself as a little cameo. Hitchcock puts himself as a little cameo. Tarantino kills himself in his movies.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, it's so good.
No, that's a great pick, because the other thing too is what if the critic isn't the huge hit he wants to go out on? Do you think for a second that Tarantino would want to end his career on something that didn't shine? Not that it wouldn't, but I'm just saying if it's not his, like, because I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's actually my favorite Tarantino film.
Mine too.
That thing was like 3 hours long, and I didn't feel it at all. When it was over, I wanted to watch it again. I was all in on that film. It was so good.
That's always how I felt as well, Huck. Like if this 10th film isn't like really, really widely positively received, if he won't be satisfied.
Then he'll make Kill Bill Volume 3.
Right? There you go. Greatest hits. Back to the greatest hits. And then put Leo in it, and put Brad Pitt in it, and put Travolta in it somehow, you know.
Yep. All right. Mainly, what do we got for Jefferson?
So my number 2 is one that somebody in the chat mentioned way at the beginning of this, and that is Edgar Wright. So putting Edgar Wright in here, not only because I love his films. I mean, Shaun of the Dead is my all-time favorite movie. So kind of hard for me not to put him on here. The Cornetto trilogy as a whole is very fun. But he's somebody that I think people tend to enjoy him, but like we mentioned earlier, the comedy filmmakers tend to, I think, not be recognized quite as much. But he's got just such a unique and interesting stylistic sort of thing with all his films. You know, the kinetic editing and the smash zooms and the cuts and the incorporation of music throughout all of his films. Really, you know, all of them have it, but Baby Driver is probably the best example of that, with the music kind of taking the forefront, but so many of them. I mean, Last Night in Soho, music's obviously a pretty big part of the plot, but you know, he's another one that has some surprising diversity to his films in terms of, you know, the genre and style. Obviously, with the Cornetto trilogy being sort of not quite parodies, but homages to, you know, zombie movies and action buddy cop and sci-fi. But if you go all the way back to his very first film, right, Fistful of Fingers, that's basically a Western version of what he does in the Cornetto trilogies, just at a much lower filmmaking expertise. But, you know, he's got that Scott Pilgrim. And, you know, he even just last year or 2 years ago, obviously came out with Last Night in Soho, but he's done a documentary now on the Sparks Brothers. And so, you know, he's got so many, like I said, Hot Fuzz, I think, is probably most people's favorite of the Cornetto trilogy, but I can't beat Shaun of the Dead for me.
I know, Nadia, you love Shaun of the Dead, right?
I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Oh, okay.
It's a good
That's my favorite of his.
Wow, good call, Eddie.
All right. Last Night in Soho, does anyone is that like a good recommendation? Because that I wanted to see, but it escaped me.
It's good.
So yeah, Last Night in Soho is actually my second favorite, just barely beats out Hot Fuzz. And it's a unique one for him. It definitely is infused with his style, but it's different, right? It doesn't really have the comedy that his other films tend to have. It's definitely more of a psychological thriller with some serious giallo influences throughout, but it gets weird. But at the same time, like I said, it kind of has his signature style embedded throughout it, but it's different for him. But I think it's good.
Did the pandemic sort of make that one disappear? Because I felt like it just sort of disappeared. I didn't hear much about it when it came out.
Yeah, no, enough said.
I'm out.
Well, wait a exit. All right.
Hey, Derek, hold on, Derek, I've always wondered when that happens, what happens on your end? Like, what do you see? Like,
I see spinning, like a black screen with white, white circle or something. But I don't know what it looks like in the recording. I think it might just be me frozen.
It's
right?
just you frozen.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. All right. All right, so there we go. Edgar Wright, the first mention from the panel, but like mainly said, it's been mentioned in the chat. And by the way, to the chat, apologies for not pulling up a bunch of comments, but if I did that, we would be here for like 3 hours. So
true.
I apologize to the chat room. We appreciate all of you being here, typing away. So towards the end, we're going to highlight a couple comments. So
and sorry
to see the chat.
To pipe in, Derek, did you say that when you freeze, you see a monochrome vortex? That's pretty aggressive. Like,
oh my God! All right, Huck, what do we got?
Great choice on Edgar Wright. That was really good. But Zach and Kevin, you're gonna have to worship the cock. There it is. There it is. I'm joining you. Number 2. Look, so here's the thing. So I picked this up because it is absolutely the biggest hole in my entire filmography of watching anybody. And I didn't do this until last year. Last year, I came across this guy. And I said, okay, it's time to start. And I wanted to start with the one that I've always seen the trailer for. And I didn't know, like, what's the deal? And that's this, North by Northwest.
Yeah.
So that's the first one because I always wanted to know, what is Cary Grant jumping down on the ground from the airplane for? And I heard it was kind of like his type of Bond movie because it's like a spy thing, but it's a little funny. And I loved it. I loved it like so much that, and it's rare that I start sort of watching things and then just get into it. And I was so into it that the next one I watched was Rear Window. Masterpiece. Absolute. I mean, like you said, it's in one area, right? And yet I was riveted. I was riveted the whole time. It was so good. And then I followed that up with Rope. And I swear to God, I'm like, how can I be seeing this many amazing films in a row? And so I plowed through all 15 of these films in 1 month. And because that's just how good they were. And I even like stuff like Torn Curtain. Nobody talks about Torn Curtain. I thought it was fantastic. Julie Andrews, and I watched all the making of after every one of these. And those were equally fascinating because they didn't pull any punches. They would talk about how he didn't want Julie Andrews because she was like, this singing star, right? But she is so good. She's so good in this. And then Doris Day. Let's see, where's the one with Doris Day? What's it called? Let's see. There it is. The Man Who Knew Too Much. Have you guys seen that one?
Oh yeah.
Freaking amazing. It's so good. Doris Day also, he didn't want her. And the scene that she's singing with her son, that's that que sera, sera, right? Like, I didn't know that's where that came from. Like, there it is. There's that song. And she's singing it with her kid, all nonchalant. I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's where that came from. That's kind of a throwaway. Oh no, that literally has a connection to the end of the film in such a tear-jerking way. I mean, like, and so to be so moved all the way to wanting to see all 15 of these and not stop until I was done. Plus, I threw in a bonus, which was Rebecca, because I found Rebecca. I found the DVD Criterion for $1 at a thrift store. I'm like, I'm totally picking that up. And it was really good too. So, I mean, yeah, like there's so many other filmmakers that I grew up with, but there's something about being charmed by somebody who's been around a long time and I've just sort of not cared for no good reason. Just like, oh, it's that guy. But yeah. And then rewatching Psycho had a whole new meaning. It was because I waited to watch that one last because that's the only one I had seen. So I said, well, in case I run out of time, I won't watch that. That'll be the one I don't watch. But when I got done, I still wanted to watch it again. And it was way better than I remembered it. Like, I didn't even remember how she got to the hotel. That's how long it's been. I'm like, how did she even get there? Like, I don't remember any of that story. And the fact that she worked at the bank and all that jazz. Anyway, I'm gushing, but rightfully so. So I got to go. That's my Jefferson, y'all.
Oh, that's a really cool book.
That's
Three votes.
Yeah, I want that.
That sounds like an amazing month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was really great.
Yeah, there's a great book about doing something like that, Huck, where you watch a Hitchcock a day or something like that. I forget what it's called, but I've seen it in Barnes and Noble, where
like an advent calendar,
where the author did like a Hitchcock a day or something like that, or like 52 weeks of Hitchcock, so one Hitchcock every week or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
Yeah, very cool. Anything else we want to add about Hitchcock?
I would say like I have that set too. And it's crazy, like, because like you're saying, it's 15 movies, but there's still so many great ones that it's missed. Like Strangers on a Train, I think is completely underrated of his. Like, I would definitely recommend Strangers on a Train. And the 39 Steps is also another one that's like fantastic. So like his filmography and the stretch of it, how many years, like decades it goes through, it's crazy. He's amazing.
Yeah, I picked up Lifeboat from the Kino sale, so that's one I want to see. So
Huck, when you were doing your month of cock, that was I think that was when I discovered your channel. That was a great series.
Yeah. Look, I couldn't stop, checking out the cock. It was just couldn't get enough of it, y'all.
One cock a day.
One month of cock. Anyway. All right.
I could pop this in right now.
Piggybacking off of that, what do we got, Haley?
Mine is not that.
Yep.
But mine is one that has been mentioned twice before. That is Guillermo del Toro.
Oh. I think he holds the record right now. Guillermo del Toro holds the record of this.
Oh, nice.
And one other one.
It's 3 and 3, isn't it?
Yeah, it is 3 and 3.
Oh, it's 3 and 3?
Yeah, with the cock. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, what a battle. What a battle. We've definitely said a lot there is to say about Guillermo del Toro. He definitely has range, he has style, he is a master at his work. What can I say? And I feel like we've been highlighting a lot of like American or even like English speaking directors, where Guillermo like the big three, in my opinion, Pan's Labyrinth, Kronos, and Devil's Backbone are all Spanish. And if you are for some reason like adverse to movies that are in another language, subtitles are weird to you, like that is the perfect opportunity to like stop it and actually like appreciate these films that like have gained this like huge cult like status in,
Yeah, I agree. Since we have talked about him at nauseum, we're going to move right along here to, I can't believe it's taken us this long to get to many people, the greatest director of all time. Stanley Kubrick is my Jefferson, and I am going with The Shining. This is my all-time favorite horror film. This is, I think, his best film, although I am a big fan of Eyes Wide Shut, which I think is that polarizing last film. People think that the version we got is not necessarily the total version that we would have had he lived past the 1999 year. But Kubrick is amazing, and there is a book I just want to highlight because I love talking about books. There's a book coming out for $1,500. I kid you not, $1,500. And it's all about the making of The Shining. It's from Lee Unkrich, who directed Toy Story 3 and Coco. He's like a huge Shining fan, apparently. And he went to the estate, and he got exclusive access to things we've never seen before when it comes to The Shining. And they are dropping that pretty soon. It's limited to 1,000 copies. And I thought about it, and then I quickly took that thought back because I was like, $1,500 for a book? Hell no.
So if you have $1,500 to spare, you know what to do.
Yeah. But Kubrick, number 2. What do we got? Vin,
Wow,
I
that's a
know
lot.
Vin, something's telling me your number 1 is Kubrick. Maybe, I don't know. But if it isn't, give us some thoughts on Kubrick, the whole panel.
Well, I will say, Eddie, you're the first person that has also said you liked Eyes Wide Shut. I went and saw that film, and I was so sort of like cerebrally taken by that film that I had to talk to somebody, but I saw it by myself, so I didn't have anybody to talk to. And then I was looking around the theater. I was just going to go up and talk to somebody, right? But everyone was just talking about titties. You see all the titties in that movie? I'm like, I have no one to talk to about this film.
Yeah.
So I actually
talk about a movie prime for Criterion release. Please, Criterion, give us Eyes Wide Shut. Please. I've been waiting. All right. I guess that's it for Kubrick.
No, Paths of Glory. I gotta mention Paths of Glory.
2001's a masterpiece.
Yeah, take it easy there. Yeah, come on, Zach.
All right, but I have a feeling. I don't know. I think I know Vin a little bit, but we'll see. Vin, what do we got?
We got Kubrick.
Hey,
bam.
So I found Kubrick again, probably right around the same time I found Tarantino. Maybe I was a little bit older, but he was the first filmmaker I ever found where I think 2001 was my first film that I saw from him. And I watched it and I stepped away being 12 or 13, somewhere in that age range. And I knew that it was great, but I also knew that I didn't fully comprehend it. I also knew that I wasn't able to fully appreciate it because I wasn't ready for it. Kubrick's films, 2001 especially, they're so nuanced, so deep, that ambiguous ending. And then you delve deeper into some of the films. I'm gonna quickly show you that I have on physical media. But he was also the first director that made me understand what cinematography is, because I really didn't care about it before then. I'm like 10. Who cares about cinematography? You're 10 years old. But I was trying to figure out why I was so engrossed by these shots and the way he sets up shots and what he does with it and the wide angles and the colors. And I didn't understand it until I got a little bit older and I rewatched these films in my 20s and even my 30s. But I had never had a favorite director before I had Stanley Kubrick as my favorite director. So that being said, I'm going to show you some of my physical media real quick. I'm really enjoying these black retro steelbooks, Blu-ray steelbooks. I got a few of them.
Oh,
here.
I love that Lolita one. That's really
cool.
The
Lolita.
That's nice.
And then you got the Shining. This damn ring light. Sorry, I haven't perfected how to get rid of it. But then Barry Lyndon. This one again. So many people avoid this film because it's almost 3 hours long, but it is such an epic, amazing film. And it's a beautifully shot film, all in natural daylight. And I can't recommend Barry Lyndon enough. It has a Criterion that I have back there somewhere, but I love Barry Lyndon. A couple more I'm going to show you here. I got a steel book of Dr. Strangelove off eBay. Yep. A couple Best Buy exclusives, but I think they're beautiful steel books. Full Metal Jacket. Clockwork Orange, which I think is really nice. And talk about a disturbing film for the time that it was put out. Again, that's a film that you have to watch a couple times and really try to digest. And I have, to finish off, second here, a couple of Titans of Cult releases. But then to finish off, my coup de grace here is something I got off eBay. And that is the VHS collection.
Yes.
Of Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, wow.
Love it.
Wow.
Love it.
And you probably can't tell, but all of these VHS tapes are actually sealed in the original cellophane.
Wow. How much was that? How much was that?
I can't remember. I actually got a pretty good deal, but I'm going to pull one of them out. I'll pull out The Shining. But yeah.
Boom.
And
Minty
you can
fresh.
see it's got the it's still wrapped up, if you can see. So yeah, Stanley Kubrick is my guy. Sitting down and watching a Kubrick film is an experience, and he's my number one.
Boom. Now, did anyone hear that Spielberg is actually going to be adapting his unmade film Napoleon? They're turning that into a limited series, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I just heard that recently.
Yep.
I don't know much about it, though.
Him and Kubrick were really tight because that AI, artificial intelligence, which is one of my favorite Spielbergs.
That's a great movie.
That's originally a Kubrick movie. So
Yeah.
Just insane, man. Kubrick is to a lot of people, he is the greatest of all time. So,
and don't sleep on Barry Lyndon, like Vince said. That one is very long, but it has some of the most beautiful shots, and based on paintings of that era as well. So if you're into art history, you'll recognize a lot of the shots also.
Yeah, I always compare Barry Lyndon to Forrest Gump as well, because it's two characters who go on this odyssey of an adventure, and they have all these different chapters of this adventure of what they're going through. But the only difference is Gump is obviously a bit of a simpleton, but Barry Lyndon is this conniving, manipulative guy. But he's also going through all these adventures. He goes through gunfights, fist fights, duels, all these cool things like romances, wars. But yeah, love Barry Lyndon.
You told me Barry Lyndon was boring.
Whoa. It is boring. It is boring. But I thoroughly enjoy it. The only Kubrick I don't enjoy is Spartacus. That's the only one I don't really care for, because it doesn't even really feel like a Kubrick movie.
Yeah, so, if anyone calls Barry Lyndon boring, I totally get it.
Yeah,
I always understand. Yeah,
but totally, I watched the entire thing, and still I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut is an annual Christmas Eve rewatch. Every Christmas Eve, I watch Eyes Wide Shut.
So that's a Christmas movie to you.
It's one for the whole family.
Yep.
Well, and Zach, I was saying, Zach, I was poking fun a little bit earlier about 2001, but I get that it's why it's considered a masterpiece and it's beautiful, but I've tried 3 times with that film, and it just doesn't. I get it, but it's just that's my boring one.
That's fair, man. That's fair. I was captivated by it.
Yep.
Yeah, it looked great. That's the thing, is I do agree. It looks great, but man, sometimes the pace of a Kubrick film can kill you.
It can, yeah.
He's not. I just don't think he's the best at pace. That's the one criticism I have, is pace.
I don't think he cares.
Clear. I agree.
All right, pure hangout. What do we got? Who is your George Washington?
Okay. George Washington, where is he? Right there. Steven Spielberg. And he directed my favorite movie ever, Hook.
Love that head.
So, yeah, I love, everything he's done, I love. But actually, I still have to see Bridge of Spies. This one, I slept on, especially after Rylance won over Sylvester Stallone. I was kind of upset about that, so I boycotted the movie for a while, but I just bought it, so I'll eventually watch it here pretty soon. But yeah, this movie was one of the largest parts of my childhood, along with Jurassic Park. I know this is like the most boring choice ever, but I don't know. He meant so much to me. I think my very first favorite movie ever, the first time I ever had a favorite movie, was Jaws growing up, little kid loving sharks. Yeah, he just made an impression. Still does today. I love The Fabelmans too. I was very impressed with that film.
And such a unique choice, because you really don't hear many people speak positively of Hook. So,
yeah, and I don't understand. I've read lots of reviews trying to figure out why, because it Roger Ebert, again, he's like a hometown hero. He only gave it 2.5 stars. So like 1 thumb up, I guess. Or maybe that's 2 thumbs down for him. No, I think that's 1 thumb up. But every criticism that he had, I was like, but it's like Peter Pan started as a play, because he was like, the sets look cheap. They look like they were, made by children. And it's like, well, yeah, they're Lost Boys. What are you talking about? Of course they look like they were made by children. And again, it's tipping the hat to the original play. So I don't know. I've never understood why that movie gets the hate it does. I know even Spielberg is very disappointed in it, and he regrets. It was originally supposed to be a musical, and he took all of that out. He became a little fearful of making a musical, and he didn't get over that fear until West Side Story, which I don't like. But that's his own issues with the film, is he didn't have the guts to turn it into the musical as it was planned, and they even started filming it that way too. But yeah, that one's my favorite, and he's my favorite.
Boom. So we got Kubrick, we got Spielberg. They were best friends at one point in time, so it's working out here.
Yeah, I like AI also. I think that one's great.
AI, yeah, very underrated. All right, Nadia, who is your George Washington?
I feel like I know this one.
My George Washington is no question James Wan. I feel like he's everywhere. He's done Malignant, Conjuring, Annabelle, Megan, Saw. He's gonna be in the sequels like Megan 2, The Nun 2, Insidious Chapter 5, the remake of Salem's Lot. But for the love of all,
Death Sentence.
He made my favorite movie, Blockbuster Edition, and it's just my favorite. And no question, James Wan's my Washington. Like, it was easier to make my 1 and 2 than my 3 and 4.
Okay, interesting. And interesting that you're counting his like producing credits and stuff like that.
Yeah,
very cool.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere. He's James Wan. Anything else we want to add about James Wan? I know we talked a lot about Spielberg, but we haven't really talked too much about Wan.
Didn't he also do Aquaman? He did Aquaman, right?
He did.
He did Aquaman, yep.
Yeah, he's also expanded.
He made like one of the lamest superheroes, like globally a hit.
Yeah, $1 billion movie.
That's impressive.
Is that Jason Momoa?
That was Jason Momoa,
yeah. I mean, that didn't hurt that you had Momoa as your lead.
Unique choice for a George Washington. I applaud you.
Thank you.
Kevin, who do we got for your George Washington?
Surprise, surprise, it's Steven Spielberg. Just a lot of memories with Steven Spielberg movies. E.T. I was deathly afraid of when I was little. War Horse, I cried my eyes out in the movie theater. Saving Private Ryan, cried my eyes out. Jurassic Park, was scared of dinosaurs for like a week. And then one of the movies that he doesn't really get noticed for is Ready Player One. Nadia and I are gamers, and this is just Easter egg heaven for gamers in that movie. And then Indiana Jones. You can't beat those.
Yep. Loved the Shining part of Ready Player One. His little nod to Kubrick. God,
that was awesome.
That was a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was
awesome.
fantastic. Yeah, I was blown away by Ready Player One. That was like one of the best times I'd had unexpectedly in a theater for a long time. I walked out just going, wow, that was really fun. Like,
That's
just
one of the
fun
best
time at the movies.
Yeah, that's one of the best 4K discs as well. It's outstanding.
Yeah. Isn't there a Ready Player 2? Or is that coming
There's
out?
a novel. There's a novel. So they'll probably turn it into a movie. I lost count, but is Spielberg now in the lead?
Yeah. It is.
All right, Seth, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna keep him there? Are we gonna take him out? What's going on?
Well, I've got the final shots from The Shining hanging right above my TV here, so I've got to go with Stanley Kubrick. You guys have already covered it perfectly, but just every film is such a hypnotic, very just odd experience. You know, it's unlike any other filmmaker. It just kind of teleports you very, it really gets the ambiance. And I mean, watch something like 2001. It's amazing that was made in the 60s. Nothing about that feels that old. Just talk about something being way ahead of its time. Yeah, just the greatest ever. Love Stanley.
Yep. God. All right. Well, is Spielberg still in the lead, or
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Kubrick.
I've been keeping tally this whole time.
Keeping track over here. All right, Kubrick.
Wait, can I just say, I thought you were going to say George Romero. Because when you said, look behind you, and you turned, and all you see was Night of the... I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to get Romero? And
no, it's Kevin Smith.
A little let down, yeah.
Kevin Smith. All righty, here we go. Zach, who is your George Washington?
Well, he's back again. It's Spielberg.
Oh!
Steven Spielberg. I mean, you look at this guy's filmography. I'll speak for myself. I look at this guy's filmography, and I'm just like blown away by how much is like in my favorite movies of all time. You got the Jurassic Park movies. Jurassic Park, Lost World is even in there. I think it's kind of underrated. You've got Jaws. You've got Indiana Jones. He can do action adventure. He can do horror. He can do family with Hook, and the BFG I don't think is actually that bad. E.T. He's gone into the musical realm recently with West Side Story, which I actually did enjoy. He can just do anything. The Fablemans was a drama recently. I recently just watched that and I really liked it. Saving Private Ryan has one of the most haunting opening sequences I've ever seen in my life, and is a very well captured historical war film. Catch Me If You Can, I think, is very underrated. I'm glad that Mainly brought that up earlier. It's just mind-blowing how much of an impact he's made on the film community and the film world and the industry, and we're gonna be watching his stuff until the sun burns out. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen The Post?
I was just
on
going
my watch list.
Good.
What are your thoughts on it? Because that's my least favorite one he's ever done.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I was seeing if it's like worthwhile to actually check it out, because that's one you never hear talked about when it comes to Spielberg is The Post.
Yeah, that one's my least favorite of everything. And I've seen everything except for Duel and Bridges
Duel
Spies.
is even good.
You haven't seen Duel?
No, I'm embarrassed.
My God, it is so good. Considering how young he was when he made that's insane.
Right.
And it was made for TV originally.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure was.
Always, I think it's called Always. Yeah, well, it used to be my least favorite of his, which had John Goodman in it.
Richard Dreyfuss.
And it was also Audrey Hepburn's last movie, if I remember right. And Richard Dreyfuss is in it. That one used to be my least favorite of his until he made The Post. I'm always interested in that. What's your least favorite movie by your favorite director? I always think that's a interesting question for people.
Yep. Alrighty. Mainly, is it Spielberg?
I already said Spielberg.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
but
that's
I will go with one that has been said many times, and I have to go with Alfred Hitchcock.
Nice.
He is easily my number one. He was my first favorite director, still is my favorite director. He was the first director I ever knew, and recognized was a director. I think everybody has that moment, everybody who likes movies, or even people who don't really care about movies, right? You have that moment when you realize that a movie is something that somebody makes, right? It's not just something that just exists, right? And you're young when you have this realization, right? And for me, it was with Hitchcock, and it was Psycho when I was 6 years old, which is probably a little too early to be seeing that, but that was the movie. I knew movies weren't real, I knew they weren't documentaries when I was that age, but that was the movie that I was like, wow, all these things have to be filmed and things get put together in these certain orders, and it just blew me away. I remember going on the studio tour at Universal Studios, and there was the Hitchcock thing, and they were talking about the shower scene and talking about how, because it was in black and white, they used chocolate syrup instead of fake blood, because the chocolate syrup had better contrast and it showed up more, and that was the blood. And that was just it blew me away when I was 6, and then I was like, I have to see the movie, and I saw it right away, and amazing. So Psycho's my number one, but oh man, Hitchcock, he's got more than 50 films. I still have, there's a few of his earlier ones, British era ones that I haven't seen, but I've seen most of his movies. He goes from 1925 to 76, right? Family Plot is his last one. But he's got such an array of films, right? We think of him, and he's always known as the master of suspense, and he certainly has the thriller and kind of horror tinged movies, not as many of them, really. Psycho and my second or third favorite, The Birds, being really the only ones that are really scary, or have scary components. But he's got so many thrillers. He's got a million mistaken identity films, The Wrong Man, right? That is one of his films. But he has so many that follow that kind of wrong man trope. Whether we're talking, oh geez, I don't even know, like there's so many, Frenzy and oh geez, I'm like blanking on him. He's got so many of, I Confess, so many movies that are along those lines. But so many, everybody's talked about, right? Rear Window, Strangers on a Train, but I love like Shadow of a Doubt. That I believe that is the one that he says is hit, or had said was his favorite of his films. But we can talk about Man Who Knew Too Much. The early one, right? The British version, he remade his own film. So there's two versions of The Man Who Knew Too Much. Dial M for Murder, I really love. So that one's based on a play, like Rope. So again, that very single kind of location. But you've got North by Northwest, Vertigo, all the ones everybody knows. But you've got other ones like Lifeboat. So I forgot somebody mentioned Lifeboat earlier, and Lifeboat's a really unique one for him. Again, a very single location kind of film. And it's his cameo in that one is pretty entertaining, since considering we've got such a small location. But I mean, obviously his cameo is always fun to look out for. But so many movies, ones that nobody talks about, like Topaz and Sabotage and Saboteur and I Confess, and there's just so many. Stage Fright is that's another good one. That's kind of a wrong man thriller. So many great movies, and he's the one that like made me like filmmaking. And at least for all my other picks, they've all cited Alfred Hitchcock as a major influence for them. And so I think he's not only personally influential, but I think influential just for many, many filmmakers and many of the things that we know and love in movies today.
Well said. Well said. Yep.
Mainly, what did you think of Family Plot, his last film?
It's okay.
Really?
The first time I saw it.
Yeah, I loved it.
So the one he's interesting with the comedy though. I mean, he's got one I didn't mention earlier, The Trouble with Harry. I don't know if anybody's seen that one.
Yeah,
but
I've seen
that's
that
definitely kind of an not out there, but out there for him. But one that's very much it's a weird, it's British humor, and it's a very strange one. It's meant to be funny, but it's also just it's dark and strange. But Family Plot does have those comedy aspects, but Family Plot tries to at least deliver like a more serious story and kind of like the mystery of what's going on with that scenario. It's not my favorite of his, but you had mentioned Torn Curtain before too, right? And that one's one of the later ones. That one's an interesting one, interesting kind of spy sort of thing. But I mean, you got 39 Steps, another wrong man thriller. Foreign Correspondent. Nobody ever talks about that one for some reason, but that's another great one. And so he's Marnie. Marnie's an interesting little one. So.
It's so funny when I watched Marnie, there was a shot of Sean Connery. Not gonna lie, he's literally just leaning on a filing cabinet. I'm like, holy shit, no one leans like Sean Connery. He just looked so hot leaning against the cabinet. I'm like, wow, like, how do you do that, Sean? That's amazing.
All right, Huck.
All right, let's just get to the chase. There it is, Steven Spielberg. Not gonna waste no time. Pure Hangout, thanks for pissing on something I wanted to talk about. Always, I'll do it anyway. I don't care. I'm the exact opposite. I actually love Always. I think it's an absolutely underrated gem of a film. When I first saw it, first of all, Holly Hunter has my heart. I love Holly Hunter. She can do no wrong, and I just thought it just had sort of this charm about it that isn't really in other Spielberg films in that way. And just the relationship that Dreyfuss has with Holly and not really seeing her a certain way, like he buys her a dress and she's not really a dress kind of girl. And she just kind of laughs at him and he goes, "What, isn't it pretty?" She goes, "No, it's not what you bought. It's how you see me," and just so many good moments. And John Goodman is the best friend. Like, I thought that was a fantastic film that nobody talks about. So I get it's like me with 2001, right? There's always something you put low and other people put high. That's one I'll put up there. but also just for me, he is my childhood. He's everything. He's me growing up and learning cinema and loving cinema. He wanted me to, one of the things I came out here to be in Hollywood and do this kind of stuff was watching his stuff. And I remember I saw Close Encounters in the theater, blown away. I didn't get to see Jaws until much later because I was a little too young for that. But Close Encounters was my first one in the theater. Love that. But the one that absolutely blew me away was Raiders of the Lost Ark, because I thought it was a Western. I'll be honest. When I saw the posters, I'm like, oh, it's the guy with it's a hat guy and he's on a horse. So I was kind of expecting like a Western. Instead, the masterpiece, again, another one of my perfect films, Raiders of the Lost Ark, top to bottom, acting, cinematography, directing, right? It's note for note a perfect film. I love that film. And that just hooked me. And then E.T. ball tears, man. I watched E.T. again last year, again with my daughter, and I'm like, oh my God, this movie's holding up so well. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do with John Williams' chemistry with him and creating that. The second voice in all of his films is John Williams. That's why he picks him. And for him to pick, and he's also, why can no one else come up with themes that have hooks to them so you can feel good and remember that movie? Why is that just not really a thing they do anymore in films? I feel like movie music now is just serviceable and kind of background and does what, but there's not anything of recent memory. Even like all those Marvels and the DCs, I know that they have hooks in them, but it's nothing that sticks with me other than the actual Marvel logo theme. Dun, 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 right? Yep. But nothing in the film. So I think it's that kind of thing that these films have. It's the connection with the stories, connection with the music. And you want to buy the soundtrack and listen to the soundtrack. And not only does the music make you feel good, but it makes you think of the movie. And all of that stuff, Spielberg, all the new stuff too, Catch Me If You Can, Ready Player One, everything everybody's been saying. And I personally also enjoyed the West Side Story because I didn't have a connection to the old one. So I couldn't say, oh, he crapped on my childhood dream of West Side Story. No, because I never saw that. So by watching it, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I enjoyed The Fabelmans as well. So there's very few clunkers. Like the only one, like it was kind of a one and done maybe was Amistad for me. I liked it. It's okay. I've never felt the urge to see Amistad again, but Bridge of Spies is the other one I do need to see as well. For the same reason, Pure Hangout, because he beat Stallone. I was pissed off. Like, screw that movie.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go. Spielberg, no matter what happens from this point on, he took the cake on this one.
Oh, yeah.
So Spielberg is Huck's Washington. Haley, what's your Washington?
Well, if you know this channel and you know me, you already know what I'm going to say. And for those of you who don't, are you going to make us big?
No. Oh, well, I guess, yeah, sure. I was going to keep us with the panel, but.
I was going to say, gee, I wonder what favorite
just rolling on the floor.
Drop everything.
Director.
Yes.
Excellent choice.
Yes.
Where's Pee Wee?
Oh God. Everything's falling. All right.
Not to mention my shirt is also a Beetlejuice shirt. It's Tim Burton. But Pee Wee, no. Oh, that's his Oz the Great and Powerful.
Circle on that.
That one feels like Tim Burton. Like that feels
so
like a Burton film. I think it feels like a Burton.
Dark Shadows is his Oz.
I think Dumbo's his Oz.
What? I mean, man.
Yeah, Dumbo is Tim Burton's Oz.
Well,
Good
whatever.
pick,
Yeah, but Tim Burton, he's been my inspiration for, I mean, however long I've been into cinema for. Like, I remember like one of my first instances of me falling in love with horror was stumbling on Corpse Bride. I remember we had it burned on a disc that we kept in like one of those big holders, the disc holders that have since been obsolete. I have yet to see somebody have one of those. And I was like, Corpse Bride, what is this? And since, it's been history since then. And yeah, I mean, he's what's made me progress in my career today. He's my main motivation. Even stuff like his super, super early stuff like Vincent, like that's only It's only 6 minutes long. It's on YouTube. If you haven't seen Vincent, it's literally sort of like a little autobiographical sort of stop motion animation where it's this boy named Vincent that's clearly based on himself as a boy who thinks that he's Vincent Price.
Yep.
And
he got Vincent.
And
Price
it's narrated by
he
Vincent Price.
To do it. Yep.
So he is like the perfect combination. Like he has like range. I mean, within, but still feeling like himself. Like, you know, you have Edward Scissorhands I pulled, and then you have The Corpse Bride, but you also have stuff like Sweeney Todd that's so horror, but it's a musical. You have like folklore like Sleepy Hollow and
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes. Sure.
The makeup on that is so good.
Love
right?
that.
I mean, he's not to highlight Ian Nathan again.
Yep.
But
Our buddy Ian Nathan wrote a book on Burton too.
to me, he's like a genius, and I love everything that he does.
Yep. And he looks like a genius, just his hair. He looks like he has that Einstein hair.
He literally does.
Totally.
Like, and he's something like me where like in real life, he's very soft-spoken and very quiet, timid. But then when he creates, he directs, like he knows what he's doing, and he's very passionate about his work. And yeah,
It's always the quiet ones.
for real though. He's just like me for real.
Oh.
There we go. Tim Burton. And I can't believe we went the entire stream without talking about the guy who is the self-proclaimed king of the world. It is James Cameron.
There he is.
You got I don't know how he did it. I don't know if it's because we're sick and tired of highlighting the guy who has in the top 5 all-time films, has 3 of them.
Yeah.
So no matter what you think about his personality, the dude is he is a genius. And my favorite of his is the original Terminator. This is the Deadpool edition.
Nice.
But his magnum opus is 1000% Titanic. And I am not going to speak anymore on James Cameron. I've done that at nauseum on this channel. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a round of applause if I can get it down there. There we go. Holy hell! It took 2.5 hours, but I said it was a mega live stream. So
Woo!
We did it. We made it through the Mount Rushmore of filmmakers. Now the interesting part is in that comment section. If this is on replay for you. Let us know who is your Mount Rushmore. Please let us know. And again, to the chat room, I appreciate everybody that has stuck around here and is still typing away. You're incredible. Even though we haven't been checking out the chat room, it wouldn't have been feasible for this kind of stream to do something like that. But we appreciate all of you for sticking around. And quickly, I'm going to highlight everyone and just tell us where the heck we find you.
You can find me at Hard Copy Blues. There you go.
Copy Blues. And it's all the channels are linked in the description. So just click them and check them out.
Instagram and YouTube, I am Pure Hangout. Honorable mention, Nora Ephron. You've got mail.
There you
go. Mine is Horror and More. And my honorable mention was going to be Stephen King. And then I realized that he's not a director. And he only made one movie.
Maximum Overdrive.
Also, Vin, since we're doing honorable mentions, give us one.
I got a bunch. Hal Ashby, Denis Villeneuve, who did Blade Runner. Yeah. Darren Aronofsky, the Coen brothers. I could keep on going, but I'll stop.
Okay. Awesome. Kevin, where can we find you?
You can't find me anywhere. Just check out everybody else's stream here. I don't have a YouTube or anything like that, but my honorable mention would have been Mayo Mizazaki. I totally butchered that. It's Studio Ghibli, though. That's another really good animation studio.
There you go.
You can find Kevin on my channel.
Yeah, over on Horror and More. Seth.
YouTube and Instagram at Slacker Media, and for an honorable mention, Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin. Hell yes. Next up, Zach.
You can find me at Zach Milne Talks Movies on YouTube and Milne Movies on Twitter, and Zach Milne Talks Movies is my Instagram. And for honorable mention, I will give Edgar Wright one because I do love a lot of his films.
There you go.
So you can find me at Mainly Movies, so spelled with the wrong side, the E there, like the state of Maine, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, basically everywhere. Honorable mentions, probably a few. David Fincher, Billy Wilder, Frank Capra.
Boom.
Nice. First of all, guys, thank you so much for having me on here, and everybody here. It's been such a pleasure talking about movies with all of you guys. So much fun.
Yeah.
And I would just say I'm at Huck's Pop Culture Cafe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, like anyone ever goes to Facebook. And my honorable mentions was Richard Donner, Rob Reiner, and Haley. Look, right here, it was almost there. Right, it was like my number 5. I was like looking at that third slot, and I was just like, Zemeckis or him. Like, that's how close it was. So I feel you, girl.
I just love that he's getting love, because other than me and you, nobody said anything about it.
Oh, I was this close.
He was my 5th.
Also, I just want to point out, just because I feel like going into this, it was sort of like, I wonder if this is going to happen. Not a single female director was named at all tonight, unfortunately. But we did have some in the front there, and I mean Jennifer Kent, Catherine Bigelow. You got
Penny Marshall.
There you go. Patty Jenkins,
Nancy Myers.
There you go. The Wachowskis.
Yep.
So
somebody who's just did something recently. Oh, nuts.
Anyways, find us. We're right over here. Fans of something. You're on the channel, so way to go.
Yeah, good job. You already did it.
And those are our socials right down there. Honorable mention.
I was gonna honorable mention Henry Selick. I originally had in mind, but who often gets confused for Tim Burton, but he is very much his own person. Henry Selick directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yep.
Gosh darn it. Followed by James Whale, who did Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. The foundation of the Universal Monsters, and Universal Studios as a whole. And Nuts. I had one more. Good years.
My one and only honorable mention, Tommy Wiseau. And I am not being like sarcastic. That dude is another genius.
Are you excited for Big Shark?
Oh my God. Well, let me just say right now, next Thursday, we're going to see The Room, and Greg Sestero is going to be there.
Nice.
So
have fun.
We are excited to check that out. So.
Oh, shut up. It was Hayao Miyazaki. Literally, Kevin said it, and I had it on mine. Like, he was literally like, I said John Carpenter as well, but it was pretty close, like neck and neck, because Studio Ghibli, animation. Wow.
Boom. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Thank you for joining us tonight here on the mega live stream, the Mount Rushmore of Filmmakers. Everybody in the panel, just stay right here. We're going to do a formal goodbye once the stream's over, but we're going to end it right now. So thank you for watching, tuning in, sharing, commenting, all that stuff. Everybody's awesome. And we'll be back soon with another video or a live stream. But until that time, there's one thing you have to do, and that is keep being fans of something. Have a good night, everybody.